Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This bright sunny day here. This is the regular open meeting of the United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. Today is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. We are in the boardroom on El Toro Road, as usual. Okay. We're going to call it to order. Okay, we have a quorum. No problem. That's good. Start. We have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Bertavia. Bravata.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any media in the room? We do not. And if you're online, hello. Can we get approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve?
Kathy, okay. Second? Murad? Anyone objections? No objections? Agenda approved? Now, yeah. Now, I have something here that we want to add to it. Probably should have done this before, but I did it after. So we'll do it again. I'd like to amend today's agenda and add to elect the first vice president officer as of 12A of the approval resolution of election of officers as 12B and all new business. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Tony seconds? Is that a hand up or? Okay, 20 seconds. Anyone oppose? Okay, good. So now let's approve the agenda again. Okay, so can you get a motion to, because I added that to the agenda. Does it need to be approved?
Two-thirds.
Two-thirds? Okay, can we have a motion? Ellie?
Voting?
We're voting to approve the updated agenda. Okay, Elsie? Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, good. So let's open the nominations for,
No, we're going to add that, that's for new business, so we'll do that later in the meeting.
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So right now will be approval of the meeting minutes.
Okay, let's approve today's meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay, Kathy, a second?
I just have a question.
Yes.
Isn't the deadline today for anyone else who wants to be on the board?
That's the board, yes. It's not for the first VP.
Yeah.
You're absolutely, you're correct. Yeah. Okay, so approval of the meeting minutes. We had Kathy made a motion. Murad seconded. Anyone oppose? No one opposed? Okay. That was for November 13th and 26th. Is that correct, Paul? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. This is my turn. Welcome, everybody. Like I said, Georgiana made a good point today is the 5 o'clock cutoff for applications for the 2 open slots that we have. One is a two-year and a 3-year. Okay. Yesterday's election of our delegate to VMS took place. Mickey Choi is now a part of the VMS board. I think that's going to be a great spot for Mickey. I think she'll not only like it, but she'll be a good add-on to their board. Real good. So, okay. I'm not going to say too much because we have a nice presentation for you guys. I don't think all of you have seen it. It's from the El Toro Water District. And we have Hannah and your name? Dennis. here to do a presentation. I think you like this. This is about the improvements to the Sevilla waste lifting station, they call it. So go right ahead.
So real quickly, and Hannah's going to do the presentation, I just wanted to say I'm Dennis Cafferty, the General Manager at El Toro Water District, and we very much appreciate the opportunity to be here. We've done this similar presentation for committees at GRF and United, as well as the full GRF board. And so we're excited to do it today for the United board. It's an extremely important project for the district. It's an extremely important project for the United community that are the primary beneficiaries of this existing facility. So we always appreciate the very collaborative relationship we have with this community. So again, we appreciate the chance to be here and talk about it. So I'll pass it off to Hannah, who is leading the project for us, and she'll share with you the details.
Thank you, Dennis, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming and letting us present on this project that's very near and dear to us. Improving the Aliso Creek lift station is of critical importance, as we hope to explain throughout the course of this presentation. So that's our primary objective, is to explain why we're doing this project, and also to explain how it would impact United, which is the community that this lift station largely serves. It's really here for you. And finally, once we conclude the presentation, this is the last of our currently planned roadshow of presentations. And so our next step is to enter into some more formal memorandums of understanding and temporary construction agreements so that we can memorialize what we agree to once we want to start actual construction. Okay, next slide. So the Aliso Creek lift station is located within your community. Here on the map, what you see is our service area. And in the red outline, that's the sewer shed that the lift station serves. What you see also in red lines on the map are our gravity sewer collection system. So you see a lot of red lines. We have a lot of pipe. And in pink, you see a couple lines. Those are our force mains. We have 11 force mains because we have 11 lift stations. But what you can see is there's a lot more green than pink. That means most of our flow enters into our lift stations via gravity. That's how it exits your home. It's just flowing in sloped pipe down to a low point from which we ultimately have to pump it. So the Aliso Creek lift station is located within United, and how it works is, can you go to the next slide? It collects the gravity flow from that collection system piping from two upstream lift stations. So our Mathis and our 4920 lift stations, they collect from smaller sewer sheds, but we have to collect there because there's low points that then we need to pump up to a high point. And then from there, it'll gravity flow into Aliso Creek, which then pumps up into another high point where it gravity flows into our water recycling plant for ultimate treatment and disposal into the ocean. So that's what a lift station is. What it does is it helps us overcome basically the elevation differences. The topography of our service area is varied, and so we have to place these multiple lift stations where they are. They're really best sited based on that topography. Next slide. So the lift station has been in place since 1966. So our lift stations typically, we think structural could last up to 50 years because this is a really highly corrosive environment. As you can imagine, we're collecting raw sewage. It doesn't do nice things to concrete. So at some point, you do need to do some rehabilitations. Mechanical components can last up to 20. We're looking at almost 60 years for this lift station. It has served long after we have expected it to. Of course, we've done minor repairs along the way, but we're at the point where Band-Aids can no longer fix the problem. So what you see on the slide is an aerial view of the lift station. You can see a couple pieces of equipment located at the top. That's largely our electrical equipment that powers the lift station. And then we also have, of course, our lift station itself in the middle of the site. And so what that is it's a concrete 2-story structure that goes deep into the ground. And the wet well, we call it, is the concrete box where all of the gravity flow enters. And from that wet well, at the bottom story of the lift station, we have pipes that bring the flow into grinders so that we can grind up any large solids so that then they can get processed and pumped So that will, the pumps pressurize the sewage up into the force main that is then below the street in Avenida Sevilla and conveys it over to the next high point so it can get to the recycling plant. So most of the magic is happening underground. And where we're at is not only is this aging infrastructure that needs replacement, but we also are facing some capacity issues. So when we have storm events, we have a separate stormwater and wastewater system in this city, but we get additional flow during storms. There's both the surface flow that can enter in from the holes in manholes. There's also the saturated groundwater that can get in into the piping. And so what happens is we see these surges during storms that increase the capacity required for the lift station to process. And right now, with the aging infrastructure impacting the pump's efficiency, with the increase in the flow that we're currently processing, all of that combined, we're reaching the capacity limitations of the lift station, and we need to upgrade that so that we don't run into a problem where we can no longer process the amount of volume that's getting into the station. The station is located right on the corner of Avenida Sevilla and the Upper Aliso Creek Trail. So always it's important to prevent sewer overflows, but especially in this location, it's important to prevent those because we don't want to have an overflow that enters the creek. That's an environmental concern that will flow downstream and impact aquatic life, ecosystems. We really want to avoid that. So we've looked into a lot of alternatives, and in the next slide, what you can see is ultimately where we landed. What we're proposing is an over $9 million investment in improving this lift station. We did an alternatives analysis, and this was the best way to address the lift station, the most cost-effective and with the least impact to the community. So what the project will do is we will essentially build a new wet well within our existing site. In order to accommodate that, we're going to corner off the site where currently we have that 45-degree angle, sort of the access gate there in the bottom right corner. Now we're going to move the access gate to be more of a 90-degree turn off of Avenida Sevilla, and we'll have this brand new wet well with pumps within that circle. So it's about 30 feet deep, 3 pumps will go in there, so that'll increase our capacity. Right now we just have 2. And what this also allows is because the wet well is located next to the existing lift station, we're able to keep our existing lift station online for most of construction, and that allows us to minimize noise that would be caused by any bypass pumping efforts that would be required. So it helps eliminate noise, it helps reduce cost. We're trying to make sure that the impact to the community is the least it can be during construction. What we will do also is we'll be moving around some of those above ground components. So the electrical room used to be in the back of the site, now it's going to be right along the trail. We'll move some of the equipment a little bit further to the back of the site to help improve our access into and out of that site. Next slide. We have a rendering of what we believe the new lift station will look and feel like. So on the left-hand side, you can see the before. That's what this lift station currently looks like. The new project will improve the aesthetics drastically for the lift station. So what we've done is we are going to reconstruct the wall completely. We only needed to do a portion of the wall, but what we decided to do is go ahead and replace the whole thing so we didn't have a patchwork look. We want it to look nice for you. We also are increasing the level of screening around the site. Right now it's a 6-foot wall about in height. It will become an 8-foot wall. That's based on input from your staff that we want to increase that screening for passersby. There'll be nice new CMU block wall, and the look and feel of the access gate is going to be a lot nicer than what you currently see, that flat sheet metal. We want it to be nicer. What we're showing there is a different design that will improve the aesthetics of the site. Next slide. Here we've just got another view of what it's going to look like. During construction, we will have to remove the trees that are around the lift station, but we will be replacing them with mature trees to still maintain that same level of screening that you currently have. Next slide. So the good news is that right now we have time. What we're working on is our grant application process. We have submitted a grant to Cal OES, which is the state subsidiary of FEMA. So that's the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and they have a grant program that exists for projects like these. This is a project that will reduce the impact of a natural hazard, a severe storm, and so because of that, we're eligible for funding up to 75% of our total project cost, but we have to go through a pretty extensive process in order to get that funding. So it's a 2-year process. The earliest NTP, notice to proceed, that we would get would be in fall of 2028. And we've submitted the application and are currently still going through rounds of comments and review from the state subsidiary. By early next year, we expect for our application to get moved forward to federal review. And once FEMA completes their review, we hope to get notice to proceed in fall of 2028. Once we get that notice to proceed, with or without federal funding, we have to do this project. So we plan to hire a contractor, and then they can start the clock on their material procurement. That takes over a year to get some of the specialized equipment. Once we get all of the materials we need, we can start our on-site construction. So on-site construction will last just over a year, and we expect that to be from 2030 to early 2031. Now, the next couple of slides are going to walk through what, during that year, 13-month period, are going to look and feel like for the United community that lives near the lift station. So our first impact to the community would be that we want to close the sidewalk right next to the lift station. Now, this isn't just because, it's because during the construction, it's not safe to walk next to the lift station. We will be having a lot of heavy construction equipment going in and out of the site. And so we want to prevent any safety issues by closing off that sidewalk completely. And so to make it safe still for the pedestrians, we would stripe a walkway on either side so it's clear where they should go to the other side of Avenida Sevilla so that no one's accidentally walking by a heavy construction site. Next slide. In addition, for the same reasons, we're recommending that we close both parking lanes on either side of Avenida Sevilla. So right now, it's a 36-foot wide road, and right now you've got 8 feet for parking on each side and 10 feet for two-way traffic. We understand maintaining two-way traffic is of critical importance, so we are maintaining that and actually giving you a little bit more space for that two-way traffic than you currently have. But we're recommending that we close about 175 feet of length of parking, so maybe about 12 parking spots on each side that would no longer be accessible during the duration of construction. To help make this safe, we would restripe the median, we would put stop signs on either side, and we would rope it off, sign it off, so that it was very clear that you can't park there. Again, this is for safety. We don't want parked cars right where construction traffic's going to be. We don't want there to be any risk of cars getting damaged or drivers getting hurt. The trail next to the lift station, so that Upper Aliso Creek Trail, we know that's really popular, but during active construction hours, so this doesn't mean during the entire year we'd be proposing to close it. What we're proposing is just when our contractor is on site, they pull out that temporary construction fencing and prevent people from entering the trail just during the time they're on site. Again, it's for safety, and we want to be, but the benefit is we would be taking on a little bit of extra work, moving that temporary construction fencing at the end of each working day so that you can access it in the afternoons, on the weekends, or anytime the contractor's not on site. Next slide. In order to facilitate these closures, we would be providing lots of signage, and what this slide shows is the detour path. So in yellow, you've got the detour path for golf carts, bicyclists. Pedestrians can go that way too, but they can also take a little shortcut, as you can see in the blue dotted lines. This we would make very clear, we'd notice it in advance, and it would be up so that everyone could know where they could go so that they could still continue to access around the trail during the time that it's closed. So we got some questions during the first committee meetings that we did about noise. I added in a couple slides here so we could speak specifically to that. And I wanted to show this first one, which represents some of the actual work that some of our consultants have done to assess the current noise level around the lift station. So what we've done as part of our environmental work is we did a noise study. And we measured what it sounds like in the morning hours. So this is between 8 and 9. About a year ago is when we did this study. And we measured the average decibel range. So that's what you can, on average here, was between 46 and 60 decibels. That's just current ambient noise around the lift station. So this is our baseline. This is what currently the residents around the site experience. During construction, there will be more noise. But I wanted to show this because this is what we will compare that construction noise emission to. So in the next slide, what we did is we estimated what the construction noise would increase to. And at maximum, the federal guidance is that you do not exceed 80 decibels. And I'm here to tell you we never exceed 80 decibels in even our most conservative assumptions on where you would be. But 80 decibels isn't the goal, okay? We want to be lower than that. So what we've done is any long-term noise, so that'd be noise emitted from our bypass pump that would occasionally operate overnight, again, for incredibly short durations, so just, I'm talking weeks, not months, but we're going to restrict the noise emitted from any long-term noise emissions to 50 decibels. So that's basically within that band of what's currently experienced at the site. It is not greater than that. But when we do have heavy construction happening on site, we are still below those federal guidance levels, and that's only for short durations. There's going to be most of the time where we have construction happening, and it's much less. It's actually going to be within the current band. But we're never going above the federal guidance of 80 decibels. In addition, we will be issuing construction alerts, so all the neighboring residents will get flyers that tell them what's happening, when it's happening, and a number to call. So if anybody hears noise that is greater or disturbing, they can call us, we will meet with our contractor, and we will take measures to get it under control. Next slide. So here we have been holding on finalizing design until we complete this series of meetings with United. We want to get your input and incorporate any of the work restrictions that we've just presented here, any feedback from you into the bid documents that we're ultimately going to use to hire a contractor. So this being our current final planned meeting right now, what we're going to do is take this input. Hopefully we're on the same page. We can take that and draft up those temporary construction agreements with the Golden Rain Foundation, since they own the trail and the street. And we'll memorialize those so that really we have a guide for how we all agree our contractor should behave. Next slide. So to recap, I hope that through this presentation, you've understood the critical importance of this project. And I hope you understand that the purpose of this lift station entirely is for United. So by doing this project, we are benefiting United. But during construction, in order to realize these benefits, we are going to have some impacts to the community. The nearby residents are going to hear some noise. There's going to be trail and street closures, and we want to work with you to make the impact of those restrictions as little as possible. And then finally, we hope to incorporate all this feedback again into those documents that we can use as the guidelines for how we keep moving this project forward. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a question regarding the decibels, 50 decibels. Yeah, thank you for that. The 50 decibels is an average, which means there are points in distribution below 50 and others above 50.
Yes.
Meaning there are peaks.
Yes.
What are those peaks and how long would they go for? Thanks.
I don't have everything like that memorized. I do understand that sound is tricky, right? It is that sinusoidal wave, so it's not like I can say it's one value because it varies. And so the numbers I was showing were averages that represent what, on average, over an 8-hour period, the sound would feel like to a person. Occasionally, there would be maxes, and our consultant actually looked at maxes and made sure that those maxes also complied with the federal guidance. I wish I had all of those numbers memorized, but I don't. So it's actually all in our CEQA documentation, which is publicly available on our website. If you're curious, I can also personally email it to you if you have certain numbers you're concerned about. But the result of all of this work was that they found that it had no impact to the community after they did this baseline and comparison research. Yeah.
Kathy, please.
Hi, thank you. I had a question. Now, I understand this project has to go through whether or not you get a grant. So why are we waiting 3 years before anything starts?
Yeah, so we're not deciding whether or not we get the grant. We've submitted our application.
I understand that.
FEMA takes 2 years to decide whether or not
Okay.
they are going to give us the grant.
So you don't want to spend any money prior to that?
We cannot, because then we would no longer be eligible for the
Got it.
funding.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
groundbreaking activity makes us ineligible.
Okay, that was my
Yeah.
question. Thank you.
All right. Director Kwan?
If you could indulge me, I have several questions that I'd like to ask you. And thank you for coming to all these meetings to try to explain this. And I think we need to get you at a town hall meeting to explain this as well, so that our residents can have input in what you request in the grant. I'm a little concerned about the soundproofing. And is there a way to soundproof the buildings after implementation so that the sound is lessened on a continuing basis? Because I think I hear that in the morning, the grinding. I always thought it was traffic, but
Yes, so I only mentioned construction noise, right, during the presentation, but our consultant also looked at what the noise would be once the site was in operation. And so instead of having grinders and pumps that are in a dry pit, what we have is we're going to have these submersible pumps that also do grinding within a wet well. So the noise for that is much less. So what they determined is that the only potential noise that nearby receptors could hear was when we occasionally operate our generator. And so the generator has requirements for noise attenuation. It shouldn't be significantly loud, but for, I would say, maybe 1 hour a week, we have to test our generator. We have to make sure it works. That's just part of our emergency practices. And funny enough, for practices like that, we get exceptions for any noise requirements, but we don't care about that exception. We still want it to not be loud. So we've confirmed that the noise emissions from that practice is less than what you currently hear.
okay, thank you. Now, is this going to be, may I continue?
Oh, go ahead.
Is this, you said it's going to be a 2-story building, or is that correct?
Right now, it's a below-grade 2-story structure. So that means you don't actually see anything up. You just would see an elevated concrete pad that goes 2 stories down. What the new wet well will look like is also just a below-grade circle. So there's no 2 stories up. The
Okay.
only up is the electrical room, which is going to be along the upper Aliso Creek Trail. And so that will be on the right-hand length of the site instead of the back. And the look of that is going to be nicer than the current metal building. It'll be a CMU block building.
Okay, thank you. And I wonder too, there are some buildings, not many, but buildings that are very close to this. And should we be asking that the windows be replaced to increase the soundproofing for them, you know, because it does impact the value of their homes if there's noise, if there's continued noise. So if we need to do that, we need to tell you sooner rather than later so that you can request that. And does that seem like a reasonable suggestion?
It's not one we've ever received before, so it is unique. I understand the concern, though, and
Yeah.
I think what we would want to understand is, would there be an increase in noise that's going to be incurred by this lift station beyond what's currently incurred? And through our noise study, it did conclude that no, there was not going to be any increase in noise compared to current. So in terms of long-term use, the status quo is maintained, if not better. The construction noise we can't get around, but we are in compliance with all regulations that are set for construction noise. So with that information, I would ask, is it still necessary? And if it is, then we can continue to have those conversations.
Okay, maybe we should look at that. And then the 12 parking spots on each side will be eliminated during this time period. And I understand that you need to have the sidewalk closure and all, and the 2 lanes. But is that, for the 13 months?
Yeah.
13 months, okay. And I would imagine that the sidewalk will be damaged, and you're including that in the grant?
Yes.
To have that replaced?
All
and-
surface restoration, sidewalk, and the asphalt on the upper Aliso Creek Trail would be restored.
Okay, great. And then I wanted to ask, is now, and it will be in the future, that there is noise between 8 to 9, and this is on a daily basis. Is that 50 decibels? Or
Sorry, can you
with the
repeat that?
grinding? You said,
Oh.
the grinding occurs between 8 and 9 a.m.?
The 8 to 9 reference was when we conducted our noise study last year. So that's how we gathered our baseline is at 8 o'clock, people are waking up, they're driving around, so there's some noise. It's not the peak of the day, but it's a good representation.
Okay.
Currently, grinding practices are continuous. So anytime you're on site and you're listening, I can't hear it unless I go down into that second story of the structure.
Okay.
That's me personally. If you have maybe more sensitive ears, I'd be curious if you can hear it. But it's a continuous practice. The once a week, the louder noise emission is when we go and we test our generator. That's part of our standard practice to make sure that our generators that are there in case of an emergency will work if called upon.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful because when I walk by then, I'd never hear it. Those were my questions. Thank you.
Tony, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like just more, thank you for this excellent presentation, by the way. I'm very
Yes, it
impressed
is.
with it. It answers all my questions. My concern is with our security. Sevilla is the only major access for fire and other people for that section of Aliso there. The only other access is Gate 4, which is out. I'd like security to report back to us that I don't know how wide those fire engines are, and I'd like to get security to tell us that they've checked that out, and also that they have talked with the emergency response people, that they know what they're going to be up against. So thank you for the presentation. That's my only concern. Thank you.
Yeah, and that is a good point. I will say that the emergency vehicle access requirement is a 20-foot width. We'll be maintaining 24. So we're within that requirement, and we do also coordinate with OCFA to approve our plans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions from the board? Elsie, please.
Hi, Captain. I love it. I love the look. Sorry. I mean, it's the elephant in the room, right? I'd like to get out of the weeds for a moment, and could you, just in one or two sentences, give me the worst-case analysis if for some reason this project was not begun, finished, done?
Oh, that's a good point.
If we didn't do this project, at some point, the lift station will fail. And the lift station would fail. It would no longer operate. So what that means is sewer overflows. You flush your toilet and it doesn't go
Thank
anywhere.
you. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
So we got overflowing toilets, probably maybe
Streets full of sewage.
overflowing,
Oh, good.
and not just the sewage, but during flood times, right?
Right, even more.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody kept that in mind.
Thank you.
Number one, and number two, actually, our mayor could probably tell us better. Could you give a quick description of what a district, like, what a district is, like a school district, a water district? Are you prepared to?
I can try.
Well, let me take that one.
Thanks.
So the El Toro Water District is what's referred to as a special district, an independent special district. So we have our own elected board of directors. Same ballot when you elect the president and senators, likely there'll be water district board elected officials on those ballots. So we function independently, but are responsible for compliance with a variety of regulations at the state and federal level. Our job, we exist to provide water, wastewater, and recycled water services to our customers. We actually serve portions of 5 different cities in South Orange County, all of Laguna Woods, and then portions of Mission Viejo, Lake Forest, Laguna Hills, and Aliso Viejo. About 50,000 customers, but that is our sole purpose, is to provide those services to those customers and we are obligated From a cost standpoint, we are completely, we'll use the term nonprofit. We have to actually prove every year when we set our rates that we are generating only the amount of money necessary to provide those services. So we, again, like I say, as a special district, exists to provide those specialized services, and that's our day in and day out goal, is to fulfill that responsibility.
Okay, then,
Yeah, it's kind of superimposed on other political boundaries, right? I mean,
Yes.
It doesn't follow any,
Our boundaries are, yeah, again, we serve 5 different cities, so they overlap different city boundaries. The only city that we serve that is completely within our service area is Laguna Woods. And then, like, for example, Lake Forest, we serve part of it. Irvine Ranch Water District serves part of it. Mission Viejo actually gets service from us, as well as Molten Miguel and Santa Margarita Water District. So the boundaries of the water districts were set long before the cities incorporated in South Orange County.
thank you. Yes, sir.
If I may follow up on that, I just want to understand. First off, thank you for pursuing this grant. It's needed. We appreciate it. We hope you get it. We also know that our lines and stuff are old as well. And, but will that, following up on Elsie's question, will that improve possibly our backups in the sewer lines or the processing? What are the benefits to us?
Sure. So
Yeah.
reliability is the whole point of this project. We are also increasing capacity, so that's what helps us be able to better respond to natural hazards like severe storms that increase the flow into our lift station. The benefit to you is that you get to benefit from that reliability. When you flush your toilet, when you take a shower, you don't have to be concerned that that flow will have nowhere to go
Great.
during all conditions, even high flow conditions.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
We have a member comment.
We have a member comment?
Yes,
Okay,
Mr.
but I
Burnham.
have a question. I'm going
Yeah,
to ask you
sure.
a question first, and then we'll get to the members. If I go further south from your pumping station here, this thing, down at Aliso Creek, to where the creek exits the village, there is a station there. And is that a smaller version? It's right next to the creek there on the side of the creek. Is that a smaller version of this, or is that something independent?
So I believe you're talking about the 4920 lift station. That one is located right at the top of slope of a creek.
Yes.
And that I showed is a smaller one. It only encompasses a much smaller acreage than Aliso Creek, but it feeds into Aliso Creek because it's.
I'm sorry, what does it do?
It collects flow from a low point upstream of Aliso Creek. So we had to put a pump station there because all of the gravity sewer flows were ending up there, and in order to get to the elevation Aliso Creek is at, we had to pump it again.
Okay,
So-
that makes sense. That makes sense, yes.
Right. We wish we had no lift stations, but
Right.
that just isn't the reality of the topography of our service area.
Okay, thank you. And then now we have member comments, questions?
That was what I was going to talk to her about that. My understanding.
Come to the
and I
mic,
could be
please.
wrong. My understanding, and I could be wrong, is right there at that station, it goes underneath the creek and across. Okay, so right now, very often, there's an odor, a bad odor that comes out of that area. What is the protection that what you're doing now is not going to create more down there or even in the area where you're doing it, number one. Number two, I don't know, there's a cement covering that goes over the pipe, the sewer, I don't know what it is, that goes across our creek. You know where I mean?
I know where that
Right
station
at,
is.
right
yeah.
at that house,
Okay.
okay? That's all wearing away. Now, I don't know, I've called about that, like, it started years ago. And I called about it, and nobody did anything, so I figure you guys know what you're doing, you know? It's not an issue. But now that we're talking about all of this, what consideration have you taken, or what have you taken into consideration so that it doesn't all start falling apart and the water going all over and the sewer line being a problem and so forth? That's one. The other thing that I have is I wonder whether or not, just looking at this drawing, I have no idea, because I live near the other one. I don't live near this. And I don't know how many trucks go in and out, but there have been many times when I've seen large trucks. It seems to me, and I wonder if you have done any studies to make it, the way in which they go in now, they come around and they have room, okay? And when they come out, if our cars are going up and down the street, they have room to pull out and look. It doesn't look to me like that's what exists, putting the opening on the other side on a straight angle. And so I'm concerned that we have good drivers and a lot of bad drivers. And I'm concerned about your trucks coming out and being able to see, especially when so many residents go there and are able to park right in that area. And also a handicap spot has to be considered, I believe, somewhere near the opening of the creek so that people with walkers or wheelchairs, even while it's under construction, can in fact get down the creek path. Thank you.
Okay. I will unpack, that was several questions. So so just tell me if I don't get them all. So the first one, the siphon that goes into our 4920 lift station, we call it, the small lift station right next to Aliso Creek. Noted that you have smelled odors. We will look into that. I have not personally heard about an odor issue, but when we get those kinds of complaints, sometimes what's happening is the flow isn't able to exit as quickly as it should. So we will look into that. But in terms of the concrete encasement around the siphon, that was an issue that was raised several years ago, and we did do something about it. So it's hard to do work in the creek. A lot of permitting, right? But we were able to get a little exemption, and we filled what we thought was undermining of that encasement with concrete, and we were able to do it pretty quickly.
It was one spot.
Yes. So we did that a year or two ago.
I have not been free to be there that often.
Okay. So hopefully that addressed your issue. But our staff goes out on a regular basis to inspect every single foot of our sewer collection system. And so I would imagine we would have heard if it had continued to degrade. Hopefully that addressed that issue. The other point you raised was the trucks. Okay, that's a good point. Because yes, right now, as they pull out of the 45, there's much more length before they get on the street. There is still the sidewalk length. And with the gate moving, they can poke out, look both ways. We like to believe that our staff are cautious drivers because they're driving district vehicles.
But there will be cars parked there.
Right. Right in front of where the lift station entrance is.
On both sides of the gate where they're going to put it now.
Yeah.
Well, let me jump in. Where we're going to put the gate, there'll have to be a driveway.
Yeah.
So there won't be any cars parked right in front of the gate.
But they have to be able to see.
Understood.
Yeah.
And let me just emphasize as clearly as I can that safety, both for our staff as well as the community we serve, is critically important to us. So whatever we have to do, and typically speaking, when we have somebody doing maintenance at the site, it's never one person. Maybe if there's someone doing rounds, perhaps, but the kind of access we're talking about here with the larger vehicles will be 2 or more people. So we will absolutely have the opportunity for someone to serve as a spotter to make sure that they can look for traffic, look for pedestrians before we're coming in and out of the site. And we'll implement provisions within our standard operating procedures with the new location of that gate to ensure safety. That is one of our absolute essential obligations, is to make sure of that, and we will.
I would just like to remind the board that it will block up traffic whenever those trucks go, and I don't know how often because I don't stand there all day. But it will block up traffic.
Okay. Note taken. Thank you.
Okay.
Any more, Paul? All right. Oh, yes, sir.
I have a question. And we can't, this is on our agenda for later, so we can't ask you now because it hasn't been decided. But on the second Friday of the month, we have town halls.
Oh, we've already, yeah, they've
Yes.
already, we've covered that with them.
Okay, so would you be available on the 12th if we so choose? It's just another week. Okay,
Yes, we love giving presentations, so any meeting you want us to come to, we will make ourselves available.
Okay, that's a discussion for later, but I wanted to check availability.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. No more questions? Thank you both very much. This is a great presentation, and like Sue said, we'll definitely get you into a town hall pretty quick here, because I think the residents will like to see this too, and we'll have plenty of time for questions there too.
Definitely.
And just to sum up, and we, again, as Hannah said, and I used the line earlier, and I've said it many times, we don't turn down invitations. So we're more than happy to come
Yep.
talk about this or anything else, for that matter,
Right.
that the community's interested in hearing about from us. We do need to get to a point where we can get some understanding of where we go, because our next step will be to be memorializing what we're going to do in writing. There'll be some agreements that'll ultimately have to go to GRF. And the sooner we can get that done, it's not necessarily, and on Hannah's slide, it kind of targeted the end of the year. That's a date we put out quite some time ago. There's no drop dead deadline for that. But the sooner we can have assurance that we're all on the same page and document that through those agreements, then we can complete the design, because the final part of the design has to know exactly how we're prosecuting this project. So again, as soon as we can get to a town hall, we'll be happy to be there. But we do need to kind of wrap up things so that we can make sure that we can give the direction to our design engineer that they need to complete the design.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let us know of time and places, or the time you need, and we'll definitely get you then, without a problem.
Well, what we'll do, we'll take the lead on kind of putting it into writing.
Okay.
And submit draft agreements for review by GRF. But we don't want to put something in writing that is contrary to what everybody
Right.
is seemingly okay with. So
Okay.
we've kind of showed what we want to do with the sidewalk and the lane closure and the trail. That's largely what we'll need to document in those agreements, so we can start working on that. But again, we're more than happy to come to town hall and get any other feedback that we can get.
All right, all right. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks
Appreciate
again
it.
for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we're good. Should we go to number 7? I think is that right, Paul? Yes. Number 7? Okay. Okay, right now we have an open forum. 3 minutes per speaker. If anybody would like to say something, if you have filled out the little card, that'd be fine. And then we'll open that up. First one, Paul?
Julian Godvin.
Jillian, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was here 9 months ago on the same subject. I'm here now. And this concerns a common area at the end of Clubhouse 3, where the inclined sidewalk goes up, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, about 60 feet. And then next to the sidewalk is a white fence. And on the other side of the sidewalk is a large area that has never been landscaped, nothing has ever happened. The grass was taken out, supposedly drought-resistant plants were put in, but it has never been tended to. And strangely, there are irrigation pipes all around, and apparently they go on. But everything that was planted, it has died, gone to seed, or has come out. Like, I counted 13 round plants that were put in, and now they're out, and there's a hole in the ground where the plant was, or whatever. And the last time I was here, someone said, oh, they're taking notes. And this is a very visible area, because it's near the PAC Center, and it's near everything else. And shortly after I was here last time in April, I got a message on my phone saying, from Landscape, they identified themselves, and they said, what was your question about the landscaping around the post office? So that had nothing to do with why I was here. And I was told when I left, oh, somebody's taking notes. But whoever was taking notes wasn't very accurate. So I'm back again because nothing has happened. And I urged you before and I urge you again, as board members and as HOA members, if anybody is watching, the next time you're in your car, go to the end of Clubhouse 3 parking lot, park head on, and you don't even have to get out of your car to see this mess. And if you get out of your car, you can really see it, and it's absolutely astounding what has not been done. I mean, some people are even throwing poop bags there now because it's just neglected. And the strange thing is that when landscaping comes to work around the area, they often park all the equipment down at the bottom of this place. So I'm not bringing to your attention anything that nobody knows about. Everybody knows about it because it's probably one of the most visible places in the village that is used. And why the landscapers will not touch it, I don't know. But if you go and look at it, you will see that I'm not talking weeks or months, I'm talking years. This was a grassy area. The grass was removed. These plants were put in, and they're no longer viable. And nobody will do anything about it.
Okay. I tell you, Jen, I have notes. I'm sure we all take, I see people taking notes here. Many of us were not here in April, so.
Yeah, I am aware of
You
that.
got new ears and eyes.
I'm speaking to a different group, perhaps.
Yeah, you got different ears and eyes here right now, and we will definitely get somebody from landscape over there and get back to you.
Okay, but as board members, I would like you to see what has not been done for maybe
Right.
4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And it's obvious. It's one of the most visible places in the village.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
I guarantee
And
I guarantee you something will get
Okay,
done.
I have to tell you that maintenance of common areas is covered by the Davis Sterling. So
Okay.
I'm not bringing
Okay, the
something.
next member is Andy McCary.
Pardon me?
We have Andy McCary next.
Okay. Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, United President and the Board of Directors. I'm here this morning to talk about something today that's probably one of the village's best kept secrets. I'm here on behalf of the History Center, Laguna Woods History Center. You might have passed it 100 times in driving through the village and maybe not have noticed this. It's right on 24266 Collie, Oregon, next to the library on the right as you enter Clubhouse 1 area. And inside, you will find incredible treasures, the history of our village, prepared, preserved just for all of us at any time we request it. They're open every day, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and you can also call and make arrangements and make an appointment to come in and talk with one of the trustees of the center to give you more information or even a tour. Now, what really makes this place special for me is not just where it is, but how it's run as well. The History Center is not affiliated with or supported by any government structure or by the village itself. It operates entirely through endowments, donations, and volunteers, people who love this community and want to preserve its story. And I'll tell you another reason why I think this place is so amazing, so fabulous. I am a president of the African American Heritage Club, and since I was president, all of the club documents were handed to me in a box. And for years, I drove around with those documents in the trunk of my car because we didn't have storage for them. So they were in my car, and at the mercy of bad weather, at the mercy of rain, I had those documents. And recently, one day at an event, one of the trustees approached the club member and said, if you've got club documents and you need a place to store them, please consider the History Center. And so to the happiness of my car and to the happiness of the extra space I had in my manor, I was able to take those documents to the History Center where they can preserve them. And the other thing I collected were those newspaper clippings, the Globe articles that had started to yellow. Well, they have a way to preserve those documents so they keep them fresh and pristine, and they also keep copies of all of the past Globe publications. So if you clip in for clubs, if you're clipping articles and putting them in scrapbooks like we did, you don't need to do that anymore. You can go in and search all the back issues of the Globe and find all those documents. Again, invite you to stop by and take a look. They're open Monday through Friday, and they close at 1, and if you need to make an appointment, please do so. The call number is 949-206-0150. Thank you again for your attention and your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have another speaker, Roberta Burke. I just want to reiterate that you cannot be speaking on the previous item, as your time has already elapsed on the previous item,
The previous item.
which was the El Toro Water District.
Sewer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to just make suggestions that I think are important to consider.
I understand that, but you had your 3 minutes ready on that item.
Yeah.
Well, they were standing here. What was I supposed to do? They were in the middle of walking out.
No, you did have your time limit. That's the regulations, and that's what we go
There's
by.
nobody here, for God's sakes. If it could help, why not?
Okay, thank you,
It has
Roberta.
nothing to do with me personally.
Okay,
No.
we have a member email comment from Chris Collins of 3306Q.
Okay.
I'm here with an update on the work of the foundation does on behalf of residents experiencing temporary financial crisis. Cost no longer an excuse for not getting a hearing aid. Struggling to hear but worried about the cost of hearing aids? Help is here. The foundation of Laguna Woods Village has received a $12,500 community benefit grant from Memorial Care for a second year to help residents get hearing aids. With this grant, cost is no longer an excuse for not getting a hearing aid. Untreated hearing loss can lead to isolation, depression, and even a higher risk of dementia. Hearing well means living well. It means connecting with friends, enjoying social activities, and even hearing your doctor's instructions. Residents who may qualify should call Laguna Woods Social Services at 949-597-4267. Staff will set up a confidential appointment to review eligibility and insurance. Financial assistance can be provided even with and to supplement insurance. Neighbors helping neighbors. That's the foundation's mission. This grant makes it possible for more residents to stay connected and enjoy the village life to the fullest. If questions, please contact Social Services at 949-597-4267 or the foundation at 949-268-2246 or at foundationlwv@gmail.com. And that is it.
Thank you. Any more questions? All right, real good. So response to the open forum speakers?
I just want to let you know that Kurt, the landscaping director, was listening to your comments, and he's checking out that area by Clubhouse 3.
Thank you. I knew you would get right on that. Thank you very much. Any more questions or comments on the open forum? Okay. Okay. Oh, there you, Kathy, yes.
Okay, so that was a response to past open forum speakers. Is that going to be addressed?
Right now.
Okay.
Would you like to start?
That is me.
Okay. that is-
Are we ready to advance to that?
Yes.
Okay, great. We have 2 months from 9/12 and also from 11/13. And some of these items are just updates. Carmen Pacello provided information on the Laguna Woods History Center, including how materials are conserved, preserved, and archived. And he emphasized what Ms. McCleary said, that this is run entirely by volunteers and really encourage people to visit. Dorothy Pacello has been very involved in trying to get people to understand our internal structure within Laguna Woods Village and to encourage people to step forward and be candidates. And we appreciate her efforts and her committee's efforts. The comments are noted. Chris Collins provided an update on the foundation of Laguna Woods Village and the various activities. Kathy Bravata discussed difficulty parking in cul-de-sac 85 and Director Costello recommended raising the sign. Staff will investigate, and Siobhan Foster will also have security look into the matter. Nancy Carlson shared positive feedback from residents regarding the monthly assessment materials, stating they were clear and helpful. She gave kudos to the board and to me, which was very nice. I appreciate that. Never happens. Diane Phelps, or rarely happens, I should say. Diane Phelps, as president of the Village Community Fund, she provided information regarding the fund, including donation opportunities, services provided, and upcoming fundraising events. That was very helpful. Now, the responses from last month. Again, Jim Hopkins gave the foundation update, as earlier noted, as from the previous months. Janet Diaz reported of rodent activity in the carport causing damages to vehicles. Bait boxes are not effective. Residents do not leave food. Educate residents do not leave food in vehicles. And requested board awareness. Staff investigated the rodent issue on the same day and reported back to the residents via email. Staff went out to the carport and staff has replaced the 2 bait stations located in the carport and 1 near the trash. It will allow us to track that activities of the rats. And they did not identify a better location and did feel the bins were clean and the lids were closed. Chris Collins sent an email in, and it was read by Paul Nguyen. I'm not pronouncing your last name right. Nguyen, is it Paul Nguyen? Assistant Corporate Secretary, regarding information on hearing loss and assistance for the residents. And that was stressed again today, that there's like a $12,000 that they received. And Kathy Bravado, again on cul-de-sac 85. And the sign will be placed on a taller pole by the end of the week. And that concludes the responses.
Yes, Kathy.
By the end of what week?
It does not say.
I know staff is working on it.
And
I will get you a timeline. I don't have it offhand, but we've talked about it.
okay, well, it's just she said by the end of the week. I think my question is a fair question. And
I appreciate that. I will let you know. Let me ask staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
That concludes the remarks.
All right. Now we have the CEO report. Joanne Foster, please, CEO.
Thank you, President Prater, members of the board. It's my honor to give you an update on some goings-on in the community this morning. I would like to start with a reminder that the annual mailing was sent out, physically mailed on Wednesday, November 26th, and this contains the individual assessment letters, the annual budget report, and annual policy statements. I also want to remind our members that there is a form enclosed in that annual mailing for members to use to update their preferred delivery method for official mutual notices. We ask that members submit this form by Friday, October 3rd, 2026, and if not returned, we'll continue to use the last written address on file. But it's important that residents update their addresses so that they get the important mailings correctly. You can email this form to information@vmsinc.org or drop it off or mail it to the Laguna Woods Village Community Center. I would also like to share some reminders about holiday waste disposal as we head into the season. First is to protect your pipes. Holiday meals generate extra fats, oils, and grease, otherwise known as fog, and these are all common byproducts of cooking. Pouring these substances down the drain can lead to serious plumbing issues. To keep drains clear and running smoothly, we encourage you to allow the fog to cool, then pour into an empty can or jar and place in your green waste container. Wipe pans and dishes with paper towels prior to removing residual grease and washing them. To protect your pipes, we encourage you not to place items such as those listed in the drain. These include meat drippings, gravy, sour cream, shortening, mayonnaise, and so on. Next is the What Goes Where Holiday Edition. Place in your recycling container flattened cardboard boxes, holiday catalogs. In the organics bin, you can place small amounts of green waste such as natural wreaths and garlands, small amounts of cooking grease, and uneaten holiday foods. In your trash bin, you can place your envelopes with plastic padding, bubble wrap, wrapping paper with glitter or foil, and bows and ribbons. We also want to share that we've learned that the Irvine Household Hazardous Waste Collection Center will be permanently closing. The final drop-off day is December 31st from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. There are alternative HHW centers in Anaheim, Huntington Beach, and San Juan Capistrano. For questions, please visit oclandfills.com/notice, or you can call the district at 714-834-4000. Switching gears to commercial transportation routes, on Monday, November 17th, commercial routes 1 and 2 resumed full service. These were previously combined in September to address a staffing situation, but again, they are back to full operation as of November 17th, and we appreciate all our patrons' patience while that happened. I want to provide a reminder about holiday destination shopping that is taking place on Thursday, December 11th, to the shops at Mission Viejo. This includes things such as Nordstrom, Macy's, Old Navy, and so on. The bus departs Clubhouse 1, the transportation hub, at 10 a.m. and returns at 1:30 p.m. The cost is $10 per rider, debit or credit only, and you can make your reservations by calling transportation at 949-597-4659. Also want to share a holiday decorations reminder. Decorations placed on common area turf prevent mowing. Crews will avoid mowing within 1 foot of any decorations. The next mowing week is December 15th. Also, please do not place decorations on or in trees to allow safe trimming and maintenance. You can contact Resident Services for more information. In terms of a Ting fiber project update, 873 homes are now active and using the Ting Internet network. Crews are currently working in nodes 1 through 12. This covers the southeast area of the community near gates 1, 3, and 4. In the next 30 to 60 days, work will expand to nodes 13 and 15 in the northeast area near gates 2 and 5. Broadband recently met with Ting and the project vendors to align the work into 2026, and this will also accelerate work moving forward now that they've gotten through the initial installations and have been able to learn from those installations and fine-tune things. We also want to highlight that facts about Ting Internet and the cable transition were published in Friday's What's Up in the Village. There have been many questions about Ting Internet, the transition to DirecTV, and so forth. So to bring clarity and reassurance, a new frequently asked question document was produced, and this answers the most common and pressing questions that we are currently hearing in terms of timing, when will cable television end, equipment, installation, router placement, and then service changes, billing, and so forth. We encourage you to visit the Laguna Woods Village website, go under the news tab, and look for bringing fiber to every manor to get the most up-to-date information. And lastly, a reminder that safety starts with awareness. Staying alert and reporting concerns helps keep our community safe. For emergencies, please dial 911. For immediate non-emergency concerns, call Security Services at 949-580-1400. That's available 24/7. And you may report possible rule violations via the community rule violation form found online. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm open for questions. May I ask a question? I got an update this morning from Ting. So 879 are completed. This numbers really seems like it's progressing very slowly. I know the pre-wiring, I see these guys going down and just knocking them dead. I mean, their guys are good and they know what they're doing, but I see a very slow progress on installations? Is there something,
As I mentioned, they wanted to fine tune the initial installations so they can then accelerate.
Okay.
And so as we move into the new year, you'll see acceleration of the personal installations in the manors.
okay, thank you, thank you. Rod, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Some folks do not flatten cardboard boxes, which causes obviously issues.
Is your mic on?
Yes, it is. So I
think
said
you're
that
speaking the
some
other way.
folks do not flatten cardboard boxes, which causes issues, obviously. And I'm wondering if there's a fine to enforce that. Thank you.
I do not know of a fine to enforce that, unfortunately.
How could we?
And that's something for the board to consider, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I had questions over here was first, and then,
My question is concerning the Ting installation into the units. You said there's a website to go to find out when our neighborhood is going to be, where they need to have access. How much notice will we be given prior, or do we have to actually look it up ourselves?
You're given, no, you're reached out to by telephone and by email 60 to 90 days in advance of your installation date.
Okay, so even though they're very close in my area, I won't be notified first.
You'll get plenty of advance notice, but
So it'll be like next year before they actually have to come into my unit?
I would imagine so. I can check your
No,
particular
no, okay.
address.
Yeah,
That's fine. If they'll notify me, that's fine. I was just curious as to when we'll be told about it.
sure.
Yes, and again, they reach out to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. I haven't heard anything yet, so, thank you.
Yes, Elsie?
Thank you. I was just wondering, and thank you, Siobhan, for this good presentation, as always. The city of Laguna Woods, I'm sorry, this is on the hazardous waste closure. In Laguna, I used to take my batteries, I hate to make it about me, but I'm not alone. We used to take odds and ends of hazardous waste over to the city. And are they still going to have that service?
Oops, she left.
They still accept batteries, and I know there is a curbside pickup that the city offers as well. I can get you that information.
Oh, that's good to know.
That is, I really appreciate that, because I don't need it often, I save it, but, and it's not just me, I mean, I want to encourage people, because otherwise it's just going to end up in the landfill.
Okay, why don't we'll include it in an upcoming What's Up in the Village so everybody has access
would
to
be
that
great.
information. Thank you.
Yes, Kathy?
I have a question, and I'm not sure if this is appropriate. Last night at Gate 3, there were 5 or so police cars in that area. Do you know what that was about? I mean, I had to go around, but
I do not, but I can find out and report back this afternoon.
it wasn't anything with our community.
Again, I'll double check and report back this afternoon.
Okay.
It may not have pertained to the community.
Yeah, we don't get notified when something's outside the wall. They may have driven there. Okay, so if an incident happened, we would know, and Shafan is real good about letting us know. Yeah. Any more questions?
Cynthia has her hand
Okay, Cynthia, yes, thank you.
Good morning. Was that last night you were talking about, or the night before when all those?
It was last night, around 5 o'clock,
last night.
thereabouts.
Well, that was not me then. I thought there was a car accident the night before. There was a car accident the night before, and there were a whole bunch of vehicles there, but that was different. So I will bow back out. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Very good. We're going to move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted on by the board in one motion. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be subject to further discussion and action by the board. Okay. So we're going to approve these all at once, right? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar? Oh, Kathy, yes.
I have a question.
We
And
usually
I-
do
and I-
questions after the motion, is that,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, let's get the motion, and then we do questions. Okay, we have a motion by Director Kwan, and Elise is the second. Elsie? Anybody opposed? Okay, now we have discussion.
okay. The consent calendar, and I apologize being new. Is it everything on this page, or
It's everything on item 10.
just on item
Yeah,
10?
10A through F.
10F?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and that doesn't have anything to do with 11A, okay. I have several questions on 11A.
Okay.
Thank you.
No more questions? Okay, do we have anybody opposed to the consent calendar? No opposed, so it's a pass. Oh, we're voting. We're good? We're good, okay. That's okay, mine isn't either, so we're good, we passed it. Wait?
You said if there was any opposition.
I just asked if there was any oppositions.
Right. The motion was made,
I know, that, yeah,
right,
he was doing this thing.
there we go. We have it made by Prater and Bravada, and there were no objections, so it passes
Passes.
unanimously.
Okay, it's passed.
Oh, because there were no objections.
Right.
Right, right.
No, that's okay, there's two ways of doing it. Sometimes you go, is there any?
Generally
objections?
speaking, for the consent calendar, you guys don't vote on it. You ask the question if there's any
Yeah.
oppositions, then we'll put in the votes for you. But for the other items, yes, we'll have you guys vote on those.
Okay,
No, I got it, I just missed that.
okay.
Yeah, it was missed that, actually.
All right. Number 11, Paul, is that right?
Yes, we're on 11A,
11A.
disciplinary update with
11A.
Francis.
Okay, we have a disciplinary update report from,
Good morning.
there she is.
I am here. So thank you for having me. Before you is agenda item 11A. It's the member disciplinary update report. So the table that you have in your report is the snapshot of disciplinary cases from September to November of this year. We started off the month with 341 cases and ended the month with 342 cases. Of noteworthy items, we have an increase in clutter items overall. We also have an increase of illegal occupancy and landscape items, which is very typical and on trend with this time of the year. So we do expect those items to kind of start tapering down at the beginning of the year. And then in addition, or as well as that, we do have noticed that maintenance items have decreased in the last month. So that concludes my report, and I'm available for questions if the board has any.
I have a question. Just for clarity, I think for everybody, it is the holidays and a lot of people are having people come in, okay, and give them the pass and they come and visit. What is the time limit for a person to be visiting or coming on board with somebody in the village before they need to get approval?
So your governing documents allow a 60-day guest limit.
Okay,
So that's 60 days in a 12-month period. So it's not in a calendar year, it's in a recurring 12-month period. So on day 61, per your governing documents, you're considered an occupant to the unit, and unless you've gone through the board approval process, you're considered illegal occupant, which is in violation of the rules.
okay, thank you. More questions? Kathy, I think you were first.
My question is, how many of these issues have actually been resolved? Or are all 342 still open? Or all 342 still open?
The 342 are still open. Throughout the month, you have some that are that we open and some that resolve and come off the report. But this report is a snapshot in time. So as of the end of November, we were at 342 open cases.
So from September, October, and November, it's consistent, 339, 341, and 342. can I assume that there were more throughout the months and you actually got those resolved?
Oh, yes, it's a constant moving, department. So there might be some months where there's more that are solved or less that are open and vice versa. Because we've been completely on par, like on the same wavelength, we've opened as many as we've closed. And before, I used to provide the board a report of our closed cases and our new cases. I could begin and start providing that to the board if you wish, if the board wishes as a whole.
All right, if Director Prater wants it, then, I'm okay with the way it is. I just wanted an explanation.
Yeah, this is just a snapshot in time. I don't include the details of how many cases were open or closed. I will bring attention, like noteworthy items, like earlier in the year, we did an audit of the delinquent accounts. So there was a massive increase in the delinquent category, which brought the whole number up high. But if the board chooses to alter the report, I'm more than happy to change that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Sue?
I have a couple of questions for you, Francis, and they're softballs, so hopefully this will work. I've had some people come up to me and say, I have asked compliance to look at things, and it seems to take forever for something to happen. And I know there's a process that you have to go through with the notification, the correcting of the issue and that sort of thing. But is it 30 days that people have to correct the issue, and why is it that long?
Yes, and yes.
Okay. Yes.
So currently, let me backtrack a little bit. Yes, we are required by your governing documents and by state law that certain requirements have to be met. So the board does have to give the member ample time to cure the violation. We are definitely a department to deter the violations, not to go after people who are out of compliance. Our job is to help them gain into compliance, show them the rules, and kind of work with them to get them into comply and resolve the matter. Otherwise, it comes before the member hearings committee, which at that point, then they're subject to disciplinary fines. State law requires a minimum, and your governing documents require a minimum of 5 days. The past administration, so the past board, has given us or has been more taken a conservative approach and stipulated it be 30 days to comply. So you could change that. This board could definitely change that, be more assertive, and maybe even more aggressive. There was an administration in the past who just stuck to the 5 days, and then like within 30 days to 45 days, we're bringing in items before the board of directors. The past administration extended that, wanted to take a friendlier approach. So not only did they do the 30-day turnaround time, we also inserted a friendly notice, which is literally before the process even begins. So right now for United, we are a very conservative approach. And this board could definitely change that. And it's not within a resolution, it's not within your governing documents. It's literally a directive given to staff of, okay, shorten that time frame. And if you want, I could give you a breakdown of what we could recommend to make that shorter and still be able to meet that demand with staffing and the activity that's out in the field.
If I may follow up, I would like to have a recommendation, and I'll move that in just a minute. But the reason being is that I have one of my neighbors who lives in the vicinity. She has a neighbor that continually puts out pans of water and things for the wildlife, which attracts coyotes. And the woman that has been, she and her dog have been chased repeatedly by coyotes. She has addressed this with the neighbor, they don't care. And so it's continuing. So for things that are easy to do, like just don't put the pan out, don't put the water out, then it could be harder for someone to, say, clean up their patio area in 5 days, but certainly they could try to do it in a couple of weeks or give you notice, that sort of thing. So I would like to make a motion that the staff look at ways that we could expedite some of this that works within your parameters.
We don't need a motion on that. That's just a staff directive. So you can
A
just let
staff
staff know
directive?
that.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's agreeable with the staff, I think we need to do things that are easily fixed.
I think on this subject, when it comes to feeding wildlife in our village, that we've made it clear so many times. And I think I think at one time we agreed that this is something that needs to be called into security, okay? To have security come out, because if you give them the recommendation, we're taking more time, okay? And they have to call security to come out. But I think if we have the residents actually call security. I have a person who's actually given me pictures of somebody out there leaving food, okay? So this is the kind of thing that security needs, and when security gets a call, they have to react to it, okay? It doesn't go through a process. Is that correct, Francis?
That's correct. And I think we're speaking two items. So the one thing is that I'm getting the consensus that you do want to be more assertive in the rules enforcement process. So what I will do is that I will gather an analysis of it, and I will be ready to present it at the member hearings committee so we could discuss it in more detail, and it's a closed session committee. And again, it's just a directive from the board, so I'll go ahead and start pursuing that. The second item is the feeding the wildlife or leaving the water out for the coyotes and so forth. That is definitely much more harder because it's not something where I could just send an inspector and go and look, using your example, was the patio clean or not?
Yeah.
So yes, we do encourage anybody who calls in, we explain the disciplinary process, we explain the challenges that we face, and we encourage them for items such as that to call security. Because even if security has an officer available, they will dispatch an officer available. If there's no officer available, the call will still be documented in the dispatch log. And in situations like that, we want to show you, the committee, the member hearings committee, the pattern that's being established. Because once the pattern is established, then you, the board, could go after that person and impose fines or suspend privileges such as cable services or GRF, access to the GRF facility. So you kind of keep escalating the enforcement as well until you gain compliance. That's because that's always the goal, to gain compliance.
Thank you.
Elsie, yes, please.
I may be looking, thank you. I may be looking ahead, but it seems to me like feeding the wildlife would come under the health and safety exception for the new, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, that is correct. It would come under the health and safety violation, so the committee would find them as such, which means that their fine could be up to $500 per incident.
Per incident. Kathy, yes,
Okay,
please.
I would be in favor of shortening the 30 days to maybe 15 days for people that are on the list, on this list to get things taken care of. That 30 days is really nice, but
She's going to get an analysis, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's gonna-
I will
she's
do
gonna-
that for you.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you, my apologies.
No problem. Director first.
Okay. Many people walk past my house. Some person walking past my house is throwing tangerines into the grass. Are tangerines coyote food?
Yes.
Okay, because I did see where they were throwing tangerines. The next day, I did see a coyote sleeping under that tree. I woke him up, and he said, "Oh," and he walked around the tree and went back to sleep. But so I thought, is this a
What a nice
coincidence?
coyote.
Maybe he was picking them up from somewhere. Okay, so tangerines, no. Thank you very much.
Okay. And I think we had.
Yeah, just a quick question. Sue, can you repeat the staff directive for me, just so I have it recorded properly?
Well, whatever you said you could do, Francis, is to do a
So they
review.
directed staff to do an analysis on the time frame given to members to comply with the goal of developing a more assertive rules enforcement process.
A speedier time frame.
Yeah. I'm going to say assertive
Yes.
because in that way we're coming in, but we're not being aggressive. You're still being reasonable. Where right now you are definitely on a friendlier
Might be time to
approach.
get insertive, yeah.
Yeah, if I could, I know that when we discussed this, people were very upset that they got a letter that said, you must do blah, 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 blah. And so we tried to soften it to say, please fix this. But I think you could do both. I think you could send a friendly letter
And yes.
with a time frame.
And you have been here before. So we've been, myself and the team have been here long enough to
Yes.
been at the aggressive point and at the friendlier, conservative approach and at the assertive approach. So we do know what it looks like to be assertive where it's still, you got to obey the rules. But it's more of like, let's help you obey the rules and gain compliance. Because again, that's ultimately the goal.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Francis.
Thank you. You're welcome. My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Okay, speaking of town halls, Director Quam, do we have a update for town hall?
I do. I wanted to talk about this in the event of timing. We're supposed to do this in the public meeting to find out what people would like us to report on and get back on those town halls. Our problem is that when we discuss it today is next week.
Next week.
And so we have not had time to get the publicity in the Globe, or the Village was up in the Village News a couple of times. And so it's just potluck. You don't know what you're going to get when you come to these meetings. So
Yeah.
I was hoping that we could modify this so that we could maybe do 2 meetings, decide 2 topics in a row this time, and then in the future, you're a month out, so you've got plenty of time to publicize this.
Publicize and get ready, yes.
Yeah, and so if it's acceptable, we could try to select 2 topics, one for now and one for January, if that's a feasible option that the board would like to pursue.
I think that's a very good suggestion.
Okay. All right. Well, some of the things that we've been talking about are timing, and I'd love, of course, want to hear from everyone. The possibilities are the Aliso Creek lift station. I know they're trying to get this done very quickly, and so that they can start their writing of their grant requests, that sort of thing. But if we do it this month, it really doesn't give us time to publicize that. And
That's
for the
right.
people in the area, it might be better to wait until the following month,
In January.
in January, to do
I-
that, so we could publicize that quite a bit. There was a water in our district that was presented at the El Toro Water District quarterly meeting. And I had asked them if they would be willing to present that, and they said yes, if there is enough notice. It just talks about what we face in our area as to water issues. The other thing is we get lots of letters to the editor in the Globe about Ting. And I know we've done presentations in the past about Ting, but it might not hurt to come in and do it once again. And particularly because they're focusing on United. We're the lucky ones for getting this early.
Right.
And so if we could get Ting representatives, maybe some of our ambassadors to come in and talk about that, or if we are so lucky as to get Paul, that would be fantastic. And then the other thing that's timely is our fees and what they cover. I know you did a presentation several months ago on what the fees are going to be. But you see on Nextdoor and in discussions with neighbors, it's like, why is the increase? Why are we doing this? So that might be another option that we could go over. So those are suggestions that I have. I think we should do Aliso Creek lift in January, if
Yes,
that is acceptable.
that will definitely work, yeah.
And I'm sure that there are other people who have thoughts on what we could possibly do for next week.
This week,
Uh,
this
well,
Friday.
Is it this Friday?
It's this Friday.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've got to have something ready to go.
Tony, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's nothing like having a meeting that's not been prepared for, so might want to think about canceling it if we don't have anything prepared. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
I totally agree with this.
Okay, that's totally acceptable. Because now we would have to try to get the people from Ting to be ready to go by Friday, or our fees. I know you did that presentation once before.
I think both of these need a little bit of research before we just put them out there.
I do too. You need
Yeah.
publicity. Shall we just cancel it for this month?
I think we should cancel this month with the holidays and everything else that's going on.
Of course.
We should cancel this Friday's,
Okay, and then is it acceptable that we do the Aliso Creek lift station then
I
in
wrote that
January?
down for January.
Okay,
Okay, and I have Dennis and Hannah's numbers, and we'll get with them.
okay.
Okay. Yes, Elsie?
They're not going to do it till 2030, I thought it said.
That's right, but the process,
Right.
No, I know the process is. takes a
process and
while, but-
approvals, okay, we need to get process and approvals for the process to get going. Okay, they can't just,
Who does the process and approvals?
they do, but they have, they
want
get
our
approvals
feedback.
from us and GRF. Yeah,
Well, primarily GRF. What are we going to do? Say, yeah, we vote to. I mean,
well, it's affecting.
It's going to happen. is
Yeah,
what
it's
I'm
going to
saying.
happen no matter what, but I mean, they still got to get written proposals before their people can get their final work done.
Yeah, I got it, but
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a great idea. I just think it's really premature because it's 5 years down the future. Half those people are going to be dead. Nothing
Oh,
personal.
dear.
Well, or move, or
Thanks.
something. I think
Let's hope not.
a little more. Well, look at this board.
Yeah.
So I think a little more,
Yeah.
closer to the event. And if there's some way we can speed the process by having an early town hall, then by all means. But I think it's going to be in GRF's lab.
Okay, well, it is in both our labs, so we're going to have do this presentation in January.
Okay.
That's
We
going to
can
get
do it again.
input from the residents now, okay? And then we'll get any feedback the resident has now, so we can get their contracts done. It's a contract thing.
Or
This
get
is
the-
not a, it takes them how
But
many
it
years?
is United going to do the contract?
No, they are, but they still have to get contracts with us because they're the ones doing it.
With us
Us.
United or
Yes.
us GRF?
Both,
So we
both.
have to sign a contract too.
yes.
So what are we going to do?
They're preparing all that, okay?
Okay.
They're taking
I just-
input right now.
I don't care. I just.
Yeah.
I just.
I think it's strange to
premature.
see this now too. You look at the timeline and you go, okay, in 3 years, they're going to dig up the streets, but it's the process. This is a major process. It is huge.
Oh, I know it is.
You know, when you're working with the government, what happens?
I know it's.
Yeah,
I think it's just good for keeping everyone in the loop
yeah.
and so that they know what's going on.
Sure, I think it's
Because nobody likes
got
surprises.
nothing else to present. I think it's.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I agree that this is early, and I think we'll have to do it throughout,
Yes, this is an
This
ongoing.
Yes, this is the first round. I really am concerned about the people who live right next door to this. And they're going to have to take some trees down. They need to know about that's a possibility, that
Right.
they're going to have to take some trees down. They're going to have to, I would really like to see if there is a possibility of getting upgraded windows put in for those that are right next to it for sound resistance.
that's-
And I don't know if that's feasible or needed, but
Well, they're doing the sound studies, okay, and they are far below the recommendation, okay?
but
They're-
if we want to ask for it, we need to get it in
Well,
there.
okay.
Yeah. And I don't know that we do, but for the people next door, I think it would be.
Paul, yes?
When you're ready, we have one member comment.
Okay. Mr. Rader.
Dick Rader, 270D. I think it's important to have that meeting because as I heard it, they're looking for resident input. And there's some recommendations, as Director Quam is putting forth, that they need to hear some things that maybe residents come up with new ideas and thoughts that they want to insert in the proposal that they're going to make in order to make the grant.
Thank you. I agree. Dustin?
Yeah, my only concern was that we might be stringing this on longer. I mean, I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
I have nothing against informing, of course. That's why we're having all these meetings, right?
Right.
So of course we need to.
We have to start now.
But I don't want to string it out.
Yeah.
One more member
7 years.
comment, Roberta Burke.
Roberta?
I don't know where I am or when I'm allowed to say what, to tell you the truth. But one big concern that I think you all ought to think about now that we have to sign contracts is the liability. If any of their workers get hurt on our property or any of our people get hurt because of them, and I think that's a very big dollar amount that we have to consider. But,
That is-
I
yeah.
wanted to mention in relation to all of this, what I was going to say before was that this month is much too soon. People are shopping, they're not available, and so forth. So I think that doing it in January is a great idea. And I also was going to say that the people who live right there or just above
Yes.
on the high part be notified individually in some manner so that we know we have sent them and they can't come back and make any kind of issues. Or maybe they have suggestions. They live there and see what goes on there all the time. So maybe they have suggestions. And the big issue, I think, is always having somebody do checking on our outside people that are working in this community. And I think that we should have somebody go over there for 10 minutes periodically and take a look at what's going on and where the problems are. And I think we'll have a major traffic issue where they put the gate.
Okay, first of all, on liability, no contractor comes and does any work in the village without being fully vetted, fully guaranteed, fully insured.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm not worried
If
about,
somebody sues, they're going to sue us too.
it's covered.
They'll try.
Yeah, everybody tries, it's covered.
I
Yeah.
think it's also good to have an advance warning when the construction starts, because if I knew something was happening, I would have my windows closed
Yep.
a lot more.
Okay, so that'll be in the January town hall. February town hall, we'll have team representatives here. We'll arrange that to happen with Ting, okay? And that gets us through January and February. So in the January meeting, board meeting, we will discuss the March. Okay, let's get a 3-month or at least a 60-day.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else about town halls? Okay. All right. C, D, and E, do we have to read these motions? Paul?
Mr. President, is it possible to have a recess?
5-minute recess? Absolutely. 5-minute recess.
Okay.
That's what I need too. The fruit tree and vegetable policy, November initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comment to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied.
Resolution 0125XX, fruit tree and vegetable policy. Whereas fruit trees in the common area were planted by or at the request of members as part of the discontinued yellow stake program, and whereas fruit trees are not maintained or trimmed by the mutual and are the sole responsibility of the member to maintain and must be tagged by the member or their successor, and whereas fruit trees and vegetable plants are known attractants and food sources for wildlife, rodents and coyotes, which are both wildlife, and unmaintained fruit trees exacerbate these issues, and whereas 2 garden centers have been provided by the Golden Rain Foundation for the purpose of providing a place for residents to grow vegetables or food crops. Now therefore be it resolved on December 9th, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation adopts the revised fruit tree and vegetable policy prohibiting the planting of fruit trees, vegetables, or other crops in common area, and requires members to tag and maintain existing fruit trees located in common area or exclusive use common area. And resolve further, the planting of vegetables and new fruit trees in common area is prohibited. Resolve further, the maintenance of fruit trees cannot be passed on to new members with the purchase of the residence. And resolve further, existing fruit trees in common area and exclusive use common area are to be removed at resale at no cost to the member. And resolve further, vegetable plantings in the common area are prohibited and are to be removed upon discovery at no cost to the member. And resolve further, to maintain the health and safety of the members, fruit trees found to be unmaintained will be removed after notice by the mutual at no cost to the member. And resolve further, members may request the removal of fruit trees located in common area or exclusive use common area at any time and be moved by the mutual at no cost to the member. And resolve further, fruit tree maintenance shall be defined in the attached fruit tree maintenance policy. And resolve further, Resolution 012552, effective May 13, 2025, is hereby superseded in its entirety and no longer in effect. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. The 28-day notification for member review and comments has been complied with and has been satisfied. So I move this resolution.
Okay, a second discussion.
Question, where it says resolve further and be removal, could that be changed to removed?
Yes, be removed. Be removed.
Be removed.
Rather than remove all. All right.
Any other? Sue?
I'd like to just discuss this just a little bit. We've been over this in the last month's meeting, but just to recap. We've been asked repeatedly by members of the community to really take into consideration what's going on with the coyote population in our community. And we have tried to be respectful of people who are very concerned for their pets and respectful to the people that say this is their natural habitat. And so therefore you have to expect some of the coyotes to live here. What we don't have to do is feed them, give them an easy source of food, that the rats then eat, and squirrels, that sort of thing. So the Laguna Beach Animal Services has the sole responsibility to address aggressive coyotes using various methods. So there are things that the United Board can do to address this, and we are starting. We worked with the city of Laguna Woods. We met with many of their members and their city administrator. We met with third representatives, and we met with GRF representatives. And the consensus was that we should try to remove the food source. And so hopefully they will trot along to another area that has a better food source. So that was really what we were trying to do with this, and also to help the members who no longer can maintain their trees or no longer want their trees. They may have planted them when they moved in 20 years ago, and they can no longer take care of them. This is a free service, and to that end, we're trying to assist them. The other thing that has been in policy forever, but has not been enforced, is vegetable plants. You can't just have your garden thrown out in the common area. There are 2 gardens already that you can rent space from and get on the list and try to use those facilities. So if people are planting, I've been told they've been planting squash, tomatoes, various things, staff will be directed to pull that out, because we all know that that's not right. That isn't your space, and it's creating problems. So to that end, we're trying to help.
All right. Kathy, I think you were next.
I just have a question. I have not spoken to my neighbor yet. Am I allowed to show her this when I do speak to her, so that she doesn't get her feelings hurt, because she grows beautiful tomatoes? But it does cause a problem. And as far as the other fruit trees, I do know when my dog was alive and we walked, coyotes do eat the oranges, and when they defecate or whatnot, all the peelings are there as well. So, yeah. So the fruit trees, some of them, the coyotes do eat them.
Right.
Thank you. I will show her this.
Okay. Elsie, you had an add-on, or?
Well, I have 2 things. One is, how come she has a pink thing and I have a white thing?
Your pink thing
Attach
is in there. You just have to go a little further.
But what's the white? Are there any differences between?
What page is that?
The pink one is the one that's you're approving.
The pink one is the official one.
3 or 14.
And so that's in somehow, because I noticed it says Resolution 12552, and we don't usually number them until.
Are you on 11C?
No, I'll find that. Thanks. I'll find that. Yeah, I wasn't 11C. I was. What I wanted to ask was, this is my real question, is common area, that includes the strip of, when people that live on the ground floor have a little spot of dirt, right, that usually is shrubs and stuff or
Right.
flowers. So is that considered common area?
That is
That is.
considered
That's what
common
I
area for this
thought, but I
purpose.
thought, is there any way we can kind of clarify that in the, I don't want to screw it up. It's a beautiful resolution, but something like including.
It includes all common area. And unfortunately, there's too many different configurations to sit there and say, this space is common and this is not. So it's common area.
Including, you could do included, but not limited, but not limited to. I don't know. I just have heard arguments about that. This is my property and this is exclusively.
No,
And I
it's
know
common.
it's not.
Yeah.
I know it's not, but my point is, well, you know what my point is.
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion, but by no means.
Yes.
If I could, and I know people love their fruit trees, and they get very possessive of their fruit trees. And they should, because if they are being properly maintained, they're beautiful, they're taken care of if they are properly maintained. And so people will say, well, I fertilize them, I trim them, I do everything. And then some dastardly person comes along and picks the fruit. Well, and then that creates compliance issues. So both Third and United contacted the lawyers, and we asked them, can we say, you cannot pick this because it is, this person is taking care of it? And they said, no, if it's on community property. So there's an illusion that that tree belongs to you, and there's strong feelings about that, but we can't enforce that.
We can't enforce it, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, Ron?
That doesn't mean it's not an exclusive use zone.
No.
It is exclusive use, but people can access it because that tree is in a common area, even though the member has exclusive use of that particular area next to the manor. Am I?
No.
3 by 12.
Exclusive use is
one?
like patios.
Okay, read that, Maggie, what were you saying?
I think there was, in the past, you could have like, I can't remember, Maggie.
3
would know.
by 12.
Three by-
3 by 12.
Is that no
But
longer the case?
that was an exception, that you can do that. But it is not, it is still common area, and we are prohibiting
Right.
these trees on common area. But we have Kurt here, and he is far more experienced and knowledgeable. If anyone would
Okay.
like to ask him about this, I'm trying.
I want to know what the fine will be for me if I put a sign up under my neighbor's tree and say, do not throw fruit under this tree. They won't know it's me, right? So,
Well, they do now.
yes. No, I doubt if they watch. Okay.
Okay, Kurt, welcome. Do you understand the question here?
No, I don't understand the question.
Okay, well, what they're trying to define is common area, okay? We have a space that I guess is 3 by 12 that they can use. Is that correct?
Close to the building.
There's
closest to the
a
building.
resolution that allows residents some use of 36 square feet, not necessarily 33, by
Right.
12, 36 square feet. But this would trump that. So
Okay.
they can use that area for, basically that was where, the thought was where people, and I'd have to go back and look at the resolution, I think it still excludes vegetable plantings, the original resolution.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was for people to put their pots, their statuary, the decorations that we find out all over the grass and things like that, to give them a spot to put it, to personalize it. But this would trump that, to not allow any vegetables or fruit trees.
Right.
So it's a good resolution.
So, I'm not.
What's,
Go ahead, Elsie.
this is the same, this is exclusive use, isn't that just like patios where you can say, you can't come here?
Yes, patios, courtyards, things like that. It would be on your title deed, that you don't get one in United.
No, but that's, I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify because I don't think everybody understands.
Yeah,
that
so
that's
exclusive use is
use.
generally just patios and courtyards.
And not that 36 square feet.
Correct.
No.
I just wanted
Is
clarification.
that clear?
Thanks.
So I just have a question. So upon resale, the buyer can accept those fruit trees in the so-called exclusive use
Not
common
fruit
area?
trees.
No longer, this
Not
resolution.
So
fruit
this would actually remove that.
Yes.
You cannot
Right.
accept or not
Yes.
accept.
Right, right.
It will be removed
Right.
Correct.
automatically.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right, we ready?
all right, let's vote on this, please. I got a spot on my, half a, oh, yours is completely dark. Mine just is on the wrong page.
Yeah, just use your mouse.
There we go, thank you.
Murad, this was adopted by Third.
I've got a, what do you call it? when you do
What'd you
a
do, Tony?
garbage pan? A rescue, I have a rescue money trade.
I know.
2121Q, that's what we call it.
Not sure what happened. Give the thumbs up or thumbs down. And I'll vote for you.
Oh,
There it goes.
if they want to break their necks, they can.
Mouse if you want.
My 52-year-old postman husband, okay, he can scramble up there like a little monkey.
Yes.
But it's on a slope, and it's really.
All right, Tony, thank you.
Soft soil, you know, that white.
Okay, motion passes.
Motion passed. All right.
Now, plus we keep it.
All right,
The next one,
Yeah,
On
and then
to-
give it to,
on to next pink page, 11D.
5 of,
11D is in donut. Resolution
11D.
0125XX, vehicle traffic and parking rules. Whereas the Security Department is responsible for the administration of Laguna Woods Village vehicle traffic and parking rules, and whereas the Golden Rain Foundation has recognized the need to amend the vehicle traffic and parking rules with removal of the traffic school, now therefore be it resolved on December 9, 2025, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the amended vehicle traffic and parking rules as attached to the official minutes of this meeting. And resolve further that Resolution 01-1960, approved on August 13, 2019, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. The 28-day notification for member review and comments has been satisfied. I move this resolution.
we have a motion, please?
oh, I thought she said I knew this.
Oh, you moved it? Okay, she moved it.
Yeah.
Second? Sue seconds it.
Okay.
Any discussion? Moran?
No.
Kathy?
So, this is where I think I have all my questions. Maggie said to read everything, and I did.
Yep.
And so this is item 11D. Is that what we're on right now?
That's correct.
11D is the
11D.
donut, yes.
All right, so, on 2.24, where it says pedestrians, I don't understand what is actually being said. And the 2.4, it says, on foot or using a means of conveyance propelled by human power other than a bicycle, operating a self-propelled or motorized wheelchair, invalid tricycle, electric, personal whatever that word is, mobility device. So are you saying that they cannot use it? Is that what this is?
If they are using any of those items, like a wheelchair, a tricycle, invalid tricycle, electric mobility device, or motorized quadricycle, they are not. They are a pedestrian, classified as a pedestrian. They can go wherever a pedestrian can go.
So it's saying they can use
Yes.
those?
So they-
Because this was not clear to me at all on
What
that.
page are you on?
I'm on page 14 of 11D.
Yep.
So-
I got
2.24.
11D, oh, okay.
2.24.
Okay, so they can
Yes.
use it?
Yes.
Because in some parts,
All those,
it's not clear. All right.
all of those are okay, and you are qualified as a
Oh, there.
pedestrian to
Okay.
use the sidewalk.
Okay, and then on 2.18, okay, so
Motorized
on,
motor truck,
What page is that?
this is on page 13.
Okay, we're going backwards. Okay.
So my question,
if,
I cannot read my handwriting, so I'm going to have to bypass
Okay.
2.18.
Okay.
you're perhaps wondering what a motor truck is. Motor
Motor vehicle designed, use, or maintained primarily for transportation of the property. Okay, maybe that's it. It says
not a
they can't
wheelbarrow.
be. Okay, I cannot read my writing, so I'm going to have to skip that one. But I did have a question on 2.18 as far as what constitutes a motor truck. But this is saying you can use a motor truck.
No, this is just definitions.
These are the exceptions.
They're definitions, right?
Yeah, it's for like 2.16 is a dwelling unit in Laguna Woods Village.
That's what a
The
unit
person
is.
having legal accountability to the mutual corporation for a unit, and then 2.18, a motor vehicle designed, use, or maintained primarily for the transportation of the property. So what it's saying is, if it can be driven on the road, it is acceptable.
Yes.
Okay, so I may be misinterpreting how I read all of this.
Okay.
Okay. And then on page 15, oh, this is really a little petty. It says entry for themselves or others. Themselves should be one word, not two words. That's just, if that
Oh,
could be.
that's just a typo.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
And then in the 3.0,
Page number?
we're still on page 15. It's 3.1.5 and 3.1.6. Will this include fines? So I had a concern when I read it. It said the board establishes time. Okay, here it goes. So where it's the paragraph that says, the board will appoint a Laguna Woods Village Traffic Hearing Committee composed of 3 board members. The Laguna Woods Village Traffic Hearings Committee will schedule hearings as necessary to adjudicate notices of violation. The traffic hearing is an open meeting that the alleged violator is invited to. So that's strictly the person who did the violation?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really misleading, because that is
Right.
absolutely.
Well, that's why I
And
had
most-
it on my
Or-
note.
Yes.
Hey,
Or
Nikayla?
Director Bravada, so what you were referring to was the old version of these rules.
So-
You need to have reviewed the revised version. I think
Attachment 5.
Paul is bringing that over to you right now.
Well, I saw the attachment 5, but after I read through all of this, so my error is not going through attachment 5 because I wasn't sure what that was for. It didn't state that attachment 5 is the one that we actually should have read in detail.
Staff report, if you look at the bottom of the staff report, it should say.
What page is that? I'm sorry.
You're fine. So you're going to look at the attachment number right here.
That's,
So that's the proposed one for attachment right there. And this is the clean, updated version that you want to look at.
Okay,
5.
then yes, that was my.
Yeah, Kathy, also, so on that first, at page 3 of 102, that staff report cover page, at the very bottom, it'll always list the attachments. So it'll say attachment 1 is the proposed resolution, attachment 2 is the current. So it'll let you know which is for what. So you'll know what you're reviewing.
I think what I'm going to have to do is forgo all of my questions, because I did only read attachment 3, which covers these things. So,
okay.
my apologies. I did not read attachment 5 as closely as I read attachment 3.
Okay.
Okay, I have some questions for the staff, if I might. It says that the parking in, visitors' parking is prohibited from 8 to 5. That is still prohibited, is it not?
Page.
Which page are you looking at, so I
page are
can
you
read it with you?
Okay, I will find that. I had it marked, and unfortunately, I'll find out. Let's go on to another one. 21 days in one place. We've had many people come in and complain about the fact that they could stay in one place for up to 21 days. Is that still allowed in this new policy?
Yes, so resident vehicles are allowed to have 21 days that you can stay in the same parking space, and then it needs to be moved. For guests, it's 7 days.
That's really not a good, okay, thank you. And then we also had complaints about people coming in and saying that their vehicles were wrapped up like a burrito and they could get an extension for up to 3 months or something like that. Is that still allowed in this policy?
Yes, so that'll be the extended absence. Our do not cite list is what we have in security to know that you're going to be traveling, for example, for more than the 21 days allotted. You just let security know, and we know that your vehicle will be sitting.
Okay.
So it didn't address any of those prior concerns that members have brought in. It's still the same.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are we ready to vote?
Elsie?
I'm sorry, Elsie.
So under the new improved, not the
Policy.
clean copy, where does it say about the traffic committee?
Oh, yeah, that was upsetting too.
Yeah, I don't know what page it is. I was at,
For the traffic hearings committee, you mean?
yeah, where it says, you know, we'll establish, it says it's an open meeting, the traffic meeting.
That is in the old version that
Right.
Director Bravado was looking
So I
at.
want to see the new version now.
So if you look at attachment 5,
Yeah.
it will be agenda item 11D, page 84 of 102. That'll be in section 3.1 under authority.
84, well, hold on, little sweetie, okay, 84,
Yeah.
got it.
So section 3.1 under authority, that's where it mentions the traffic and hearings committee. And then it will say that the traffic hearings committee is a closed meeting. So if you actually go to page 85, it'll be that first paragraph, page 85 of 102, the continuation of section 3.1. It will say, the Laguna Woods Village Traffic Hearings Committee is a closed meeting.
Okay, I found that paragraph. Thank you for walking me through that.
You're welcome.
A closed meeting that they're invited to attend. I just wanted to see how it was, so it was just that one word that got
Yes, ma'am.
perfect.
All right.
Because there's somebody going to find this, right? And we're saying, no, you can't come in, this is a closed meeting, and we're going to have a riot on our hands.
Yeah,
But
they
now we
get
can
a
refer to
notice.
this. Thank you. Sorry.
One,
I have problems with this. I really think we did not address what members have come in and talked about repeatedly, that they don't like the 21 days in one place. They want it shorter. They want 3 months not to be acceptable in the community right in front of their places. And I don't know, perhaps you discussed alternative spots for them to park, you know, their vehicles for 21 days. And I think some of the things that have been brought up repeatedly, I don't see in this, but it's a very long process.
So they don't want regulations, is that right?
No, they want it faster. They don't want.
Point of order here. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, this is the second
Let's
reading.
go back to. Go ahead.
You got it.
Okay. We're beating this into the dirt?
Yeah, just really
Okay.
quickly. Originally, it was 7 days for residents, and the residents didn't like that. And our thought process with the security department is that, you know, we want to be understanding what the residents need. So then the boards and so on came up with 21 days. And so it's just being continued. But originally it was 7, and then it was changed by the board.
Okay. So my feeling on this is we did this, no matter what we do, we're going to have fallback, okay? There is no pure answer to this, okay? We're going to have the people complain about 7. We're going to have the people complain about 21. Right now, we have a resolution that's been sitting here 28 days that we need to pass. And if you are opposed to it, you can vote no.
So do we have a second?
Do we have a second?
Yeah,
Anybody?
Director Quam had seconded the motion.
Pardon me?
So Director
that's
Blackwell
right,
made the
we did.
motion, Director Quam
Okay,
seconded.
so now we just need to vote.
Excuse me.
And just a refresher too, like President Prater stated, this item was on 28-day notification, so it was originally presented to you the United Board last month in November. You guys had the month to review it and provide any comments and feedback prior to today's board meeting.
Right. If, I'm not sure how, may I be recognized?
Real quick, sir. please.
I would like to send this back to committee. I just really think that the
We
issue.
can't, we have to vote on it now. It's up to vote.
It's up for vote?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can vote no if you want.
All right, I will. Are we ready to vote?
Yep,
Well,
yes.
some of us
Yep.
are voting.
It's on your screens.
Georgiana?
There we go. There's 8.
Okay.
All right, a motion, resolution passes. Thank you all. All right, E now, we're going to entertain a motion to approve the resolution to the alteration fee schedule. You join in? Yes.
I would like to say something about this,
Which one are you talking about?
about the resale fee schedule.
Okay, please. Okay, let's get the motion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then we'll
Okay.
get a second, then we'll have a discussion. Thank you.
Resolution 0125XX, alteration fee schedule. Whereas alteration and variance requests require significant staff time for proper processing, including research, report preparation, presentation to the appropriate committee and board, and whereas several tasks are performed in conjunction with alteration and variance requests, namely plan check changes, mutual consent re-inspections, and correction notice re-inspections, and whereas in order to account for the staff time spent processing the tasks above, the board has adopted a 2025 alteration fee schedule, and whereas the 2025 alteration fee schedule more accurately reflects the fees associated with all the administrative time it takes to process all the associated tasks, and whereas the variance processing fee indicated is an up to but not to exceed amount, now therefore be it resolved December 9th of 2025 that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revisions to the alteration fee schedule as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that Resolution 01-17-149, adopted September 7th of 2017, is hereby superseded and canceled. Resolve further that Resolution 01-19-22, adopted February 12th of 2019, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that Resolution 01-23-15, adopted March 14th, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that Resolution 01-23-60, adopted November 14th of 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that Resolution 01-2565, adopted June 10th of 2025, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that future revisions to the alteration schedule will be reviewed and undertaken as one cohesive resolution every year with board approval. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. The 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Code 4360 has been satisfied. I move this resolution.
We have a second by Tony. Any discussion on the fees? Yes, Kathy?
I do have one objection, or I would need an explanation by you. The fees do seem okay to me. I wasn't sure why the increase, the percentage went all the way back to 17 when changes were made all the way up through 2025. But the only one I have a question on is the variance processing fee. It goes from 150 to 430, and I just answered my own question. There were no increases
In the last.
through 2025. I have no objections.
Georgiana, please.
Okay, yeah. Resales are down 10%. And when someone makes an alteration, that's to United's benefit, because the people who are doing this are improving it. And so, and if they're making any changes, certain alterations, then they will be responsible for anything that goes wrong. They're saving us money. And I think to target the people who are putting out money and improving the community is not the way to go. Not at all. I mean, I think a lot of times the boards are looking for ways maybe to improve, but everything seems to involve spending money. In this case, I don't care to further penalize people who are improving the community.
Okay, I'm going to comment first. I think I'm allowed to do that. I understand what you're saying. I've been through this process myself and got shocked at some of the fees and when we're doing stuff. However, what you have to consider in all these fees is actually a lot of the time that they spend across the hall here and upstairs processing this information. It's not like you say, I want to alter this. They give you the processing of this, just the paperwork alone takes multiple hours. I mean, we're talking sometimes days of looking at it to make sure it's right, to make sure the specs are right. I agree with the rate. This hasn't been changed. It was sort of like when we changed the charging rates. They hadn't been changed in 10 years. Okay, here we're looking at the same scenario where we have failed as boards in the past, and they've never looked at this to keep it up with today's times. Okay, you go over to the city where you also have to get a report, and their fees have increased. Okay, so yeah, we're paying a lot of fees to do alterations. Okay, but it's time-taking, the permits, the inspections that have to be done, and everything as time goes along. I agree with your saying, but we need to do this to keep things up to date. Go ahead, Maggie, I'll have you first.
Yes, every alteration is a benefit when one sells the place. You put in $100,000 and you raise the cost $300,000. They certainly do reap the benefit in their resale. They jack them up, and so it is recouped later. Yes, for the intervening years, you have paid it, but as soon as your manor is up for sale, it's a whole lot more valuable, and you do charge more. And so that is where they get their recompensation.
Tony, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I hear people talking about us losing money and VMS costs going up. Well, we in the Architectural Control and Standards Committee have tried to address that and make sure that staff is making sure that we are covered for our actual costs. And so it's not an attempt to make any money, it's an attempt to alleviate the strain on our budget by making sure that the services we perform are covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sue, go ahead, please.
I just want to echo what people are saying, and I think we all agree. I do agree with you, Georgiana, that improvements benefit the community, but primarily they benefit the owner with the sale of the property and the increased benefits of having your house updated. You get to live in that. We could change our whole direction on this and say, we're going to split this cost or something like that and make everybody pay for the inspection, but that's not fair. So that's why we've gone to a fee base where the people requesting it, they need to pay for it. And because nobody else in that community gets to reap the extra $50,000, $100,000 that they may recoup at the end. So I was shocked at the $830, whatever, if you do a major remodel, but that's what it costs.
Okay, but also, the people who are doing this work are on salary. So,
And we are paying their salaries by
paying
these.
their
that's right, but it's not, okay, all right.
Kathy?
Okay, yeah. What Georgiana was saying, I did remodel in 2013, and it did cost me $100,000, but I have no idea what the fees were back then. My contractor took care of pulling all the permits, so
That's right.
I had no idea what the fees were until I volunteered in manor alterations last year. And they do seem high to me, and while I was there, a lot of people did complain, but it is necessary, I think, because the number of people who come out and do the inspections, it's not just one person. It's a whole progression of people that are involved in it.
Right.
So I'm actually for it, even though I do think it's high. Thank you.
We have two members. 3 minutes, please.
Elsie has been trying to.
Excuse
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry. Elsie, I apologize.
Well, it's okay, Captain. I just wanted to address and put Georgiana's mind at rest a little bit. I know what you're thinking. They're getting paid a salary, so what difference does it make, because they're there all day anyway, right?
Right.
That's true. However, there's something called FTEs, and that's a full-time equivalent. And if you add up the number of hours that people work on manor alterations, what we're talking about, it comes up to, pick a number, 4.3 FTEs. Doesn't necessarily by the same person, but the number of hours together. So my point is, if it wasn't for the manor alterations work that they're doing with the permits, then we wouldn't need 4.5 staff members. That's where it comes in. We wouldn't need as many people on salary. We would have fewer people. Does that clarify it at all for you about why the way we price it out?
In one sense, I can see where they should go up. I just think they've gone up too much. But then that gets back to a whole other thing. When you're working on a budget and getting within budget, because there are plenty of budget overruns. One department, I think, runs over $1 million a year. So anyway, enough of that. I see what you're saying, and I agree, but I just, I don't know. Thought it was a bit excessive.
It's a good point you brought up. It really is. Yes?
I'll be very short because I was going to make the same point. In our maintenance, we're paying by the hour for these people, otherwise there'd be no money to pay them, and they're there anyway. Now, we were supposed to have saved money by switching to our own service company instead of outsourcing, but all I see is more and more people being added. Now, do we really have that work, that we need more people? It's something that you guys really have to sit down and consider, because it absolutely charge. I'm not against that. But the amount of increases that we've been getting per item seems not necessarily always to be logical.
And yet we're paying.
Or financially sound. It's very easy. That this girl stood here before and talked about the fact that she will give you a report. She gave you the report about how many telephone calls came in and how many telephone calls they have now compared to last month. But the essence of it is, well, how many were you able to take care of? That's the important part. How many can they take care of? What are we paying for? We're paying for it to be taken care of. And that she's not giving you. So I don't understand how you calculate.
Roberta, she addressed that. And you've been around long enough, I've been around long enough. They used to give all that information, number of cases open, number of cases closed, ending inventory.
Yes.
the boards had her change it, okay? So
Everything the boards do doesn't mean it still fits. So-
I didn't say it was a good choice, but the point is, it's not her fault.
Not her
because-
fault. No, no, no.
Okay.
Excuse me,
All right,
point
we
of
have
order.
point of order here. Okay, point of order, thank you. Mr. Rader, did you have a comment? No. Paul, is there one more?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Ellen, we have the director of this program. Would he like to say anything, or have we covered it?
I think we've beat it into the ground.
If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer.
No question.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go ahead with the vote now,
Yeah.
please. Oops, come on. There we go.
Okay, and the motion passes 7-1.
All right, thank you. All right.
Okay.
Now we're on to new business, is that correct?
It
All
is.
right.
I have no more pink pages.
No more pink sheets. All right. All right. I would like to give a motion for nomination for the first vice president on the board. I have a motion. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion. There was a second?
I'm sorry, what's the motion?
Pardon me?
What is the motion?
The motion is to open up the
nominations.
nominations for the first vice president.
I was wondering if we could put it off until the end of this day in case anyone else also
No, this
applies
is
to be
for
on the.
our first vice president.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And nominations are open for first vice president. Do we have nominations?
Can I nominate myself?
Sure. Okay, Kathy? Anybody, Murad?
I nominate Sukwam.
Thank you.
Do you accept your nomination?
I do.
Okay. And we, seven?
I nominate myself.
Okay, Elsie. Any more? Okay. Staff will pass out, the nominations are closed, and staff will pass out the ballots.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have, need a nomination for a motion to cease balloting.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. We have a second? Second, Murad. Thank you. Anybody opposed? No opposed? Okay, Paul.
Okay, so I'm going to read them in order. Kathy Bravado with 2 votes, Elsie Addington with 2 votes, Sue Kwam with 3 votes, and 1 withhold. So Sue Kwam is your new first VP.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve a resolution for the election of officers. Motion, do we have a second? Second. Murad? Do we have?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and read off that resolution. Give us 1 second.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Resolution 0125XX, appointment of officers, resolved on December 9th, 2025, pursuant to United Laguna Woods Mutual Bylaws, Article 9, which sets guidelines, terms, and responsibilities for the election of officers to this corporation. The following persons are hereby elected to the office indicated next to their names to serve: Charlie Prater, President; Sue Kwam, First Vice President; Anthony Liberatore, Second Vice President; Maggie Blackwell, Secretary; Morada Kesby, Treasurer. Resolve further that the following staff is hereby appointed as ex officio officer of this corporation: Siobhan Foster, Vice President ex officio; Carlos Rojas, Assistant Secretary ex officio; and Steve Hormuth, Assistant Treasurer ex officio. Resolve further that Resolution 012588, adopted October 14th, 2025, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are directed on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution for the election of officers?
I think we already have Kathy and Murad.
You already have it?
Yeah. So,
Okay, good. So we vote.
Yep.
All right. Are there any opposed? Any opposed? And it is passed. All right. Okay, so go to 13. Committee reports. Is that correct, Paul?
Yes.
All right. Finance Committee, Director Esme.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on December 4th, 2025 in a special open and closed session. Among other things, the committee reviewed its charter and considered the staff recommendation to expand the audit committee to include HOA treasurers. The next meeting will occur on January 27th, 2026 at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom and as a virtual meeting. I move to provide my treasurer's report for the 10-month period ended October 31st, 2025. As you can see in front of you, the total revenue for that 10-month period was $52 million, compared to expenses of $50.6 million, resulting in a revenue of $1.4 million. Moving on to the next slide. Here, we're looking at just operating fund. We show a surplus in that operating fund of $418,000, coming out of total revenue of $26.4 million and expenses of $26 million. Moving on to slide 3. Here we show the full income statement in that actual column. So again, we see a total revenue of $52 million, expenses of $50.6 with an excess of $1.4 million. And compared to budget, we have a positive variance of $1.4 million. Moving on to the next slide. On this one, I would like to start from the bottom and with outside services, and we have an unfavorable variance of $503,000. That unfavorable variance actually hides two items. An unfavorable variance of $1,045,000 in the operating fund, so that's over $1 million, as offset by a favorable variance of $542,000 in the reserve fund. The $1 million unfavorable in the operating fund has to do with water intrusion caused by plumbing and roofing leaks and sewer line backups and so on. There are two implications for this. One is financial, because we are incurring about $1 million in those 10 months for that water intrusion. We also have an increase in damage restoration costs that are charged back to residents, and that's why 3 lines up you see fees and charges for services to residents being favorable by $382,000. We typically charge back about half. So we have $1 million negative in favorable due to these water intrusions, and we have about $400,000 charged back to our resident. Not a good thing, but that's something we need to do. The other thing that's happening because of the water intrusion is the occurrence of dry rot. Dry rot delays reserve work. So if you go back to the top line, you see that we are favorable in materials and supplies, which is a reserve account, by $883,000. About half of that has to do with the delay in the paint program because of the dry rot. The dry rot needs to be addressed first before we paint the exteriors of manors, and therefore there's a delay in the use of those materials. The delay is not only in materials, there's also a delay in the work being done because of the dry rot, and that's why you see employee compensation being positive by $421,000, and of course I mentioned in outside services, $540,000 in positive there. Those positives have to do with less work being done, both internally by our own employees and externally by outside contractors. So this is what water intrusion does to us. And water is not done with us. If you look at utilities and telephone, we're down $408,000 negative for the 10 months. Well, $287,000 of that, $287,000 of that unfavorable is due to water, both in terms of the volume and in terms of rates being higher than planned. So water continues to be an issue here, whether it's intrusion or just overusage, mostly by irrigation. Moving on to the next slide, please. Here we are looking at our non-assessment revenue for the 10 months of $2.2 million. And the 3 top sources of that revenue, as you can see in the pie chart, are fees and charges, which I just addressed, at 45% of the total, followed by investment income of 19%, and then finally laundry, 9%. Moving on to the next slide. Here we look at that assessment, non-assessment revenue I just mentioned in the second column from the left. That's our actual for the 10 months. If you compare that to the budget, you'll see that we have a favorable of $316,000, and that's primarily due, as I mentioned, to the resident maintenance fees being higher due to the chargebacks, which is somewhat offset by lower investment income because of our lower rates earned by our investments. Moving on to the next slide. Here we see the total expenses for the 10 months of $50.6 million, and you see that the top item is employee compensation, followed by property tax, and followed by outside services. But again, we are showing property taxes as an expense because we're a co-op and we own shares, not the actual deeds. But if we were to remove property tax from here, because it's a pass-through, it's not an actual expense, we just get the money, turn around, and give it to the county. If you remove that, you will see that compensation, whether internal or external, accounts for 63% of our expenses. Moving on to the next slide. Again, you see the 50.6 million in the second column from the left. That's our expenses for the 10 months. And you see it compared to budget. Budget being 51 million only. So essentially, there's a favorable variance there, 428,000. But essentially, that whole variance has to do with the reduction in insurance of $417,000, which was not included in the budget for 2025. If you were to remove that insurance benefit we are getting, then we're actually right on budget. But if you were to compare the actual expenses in the second column from the left to last year's expenses in the same period ended in October 24, you see that our expenses are $3.6 million higher this year compared to last. And the issue there is that while they are $3.6 million higher, our service levels for both years are very similar. So essentially, we're incurring more, 3.6 more, while the service levels are the same. And that is due mostly to inflation and the increase in compensation. Moving on to the next slide. This shows our contingency and reserve. So in the reserve, you see that we started the year of 13 million, and we're finishing the year with almost 3.9 million. And that is because our contributions into the reserve have exceeded the expenditures. And the reason for that is due to less scheduled work being done. Again, what I mentioned earlier, the scheduled work is not done or is being delayed, while emergency work is increasing. So this reflects that dynamic where scheduled work is behind schedule, and therefore the reserve is increasing because of that. So again, if you look at this, you'll see our reserve level of 13.9 million, which is that black line, and it is stable and even increasing a bit because of this delay in work. 13.9 out of a fully funded reserve of 50.6 million means that we are 27% funded as we speak, which is not bad at all. And then the next slide has to do with the temporary borrowings. As you can see, we fully paid back the borrowing from the reserve made last April for 6.5 million to pay the property taxes back then. And so that got paid back in full in October of this year. The board also approved a 4.5 million borrowing from the reserve fund to pay the property taxes due today, December 9th. They need to be paid today because it is due tomorrow, December 10th. So the 4.5 is getting paid today, and it will be paid back into the reserve fund by next February. The final slide shows the activity in resales. As you can see, the resale activity is down 30 resales from year to year. So we have 30 less resales this year than last year, while the average resale price is stable. It's about $395,000. Now, I just want to say here that while the average is stable, the median isn't. The median price has dropped, while the average has not dropped. And while the resale is down 30 units year to year, on the other hand, we have 30 more rentals this year than last year. So we have this new dynamic where there are less resales of units, but more rentals. And with that, I conclude my treasury report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions for Murad?
Or I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, but you said the average resale price is $395, $363, but you said the median was? The mean.
No, the median I meant, the median. So the average is when you take all the values of the resales and you divide them by the number of resales.
Right.
The median is the point where you have as many transactions on the right than on the left, the one right in the middle. The average gives you the impression that we're stable.
Right.
But when you look at the median, it's actually lower.
Lower, okay. Thank you.
And actually, when you look at what the Register, the newspaper mentioned in last Sunday edition, it showed that for our zip code, Laguna Woods, our median is down 17% compared to last year, and our number of resales is down 24%, and that includes both Third and United. So that's why I meant to say, while you see the average being flat year over year, the median is down 17%.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Right now, we are going to go in the committee reports. I ask that everyone be brief on your reports today. We have a couple 1:30 appointments upstairs, and so we need to go through this so we can get a small break for lunch. So let's go through these. We did the treasurers. The Agricultural Control and Standards Committee.
Architectural.
Thank you, Mr.
Architect.
Not agriculture.
Yeah, meeting on November the 20th, there were no variance requests, and but the staff continues to do the upgrades on our alterations. And the next one, our next meeting is on the 9th of November, the 18th, and we're going to discuss the alteration item number 35. It has to do with solar panels, so it's an open meeting, and please join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Member hearings committee?
Yes, we heard lots of members.
That's about all we can say,
And
right?
we find some of them.
Okay. Report of the government documents.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We are working on the unoccupied units policy. And there are a lot of steps in that we have to do in order to successfully monitor and take care of those things before the whole unit goes to pieces. So, Elsie's now on that committee. It's great fun.
All right. Landscape committee, Sue?
We are canceling the meeting for this month, and so we will meet again on the fourth Monday of January.
Perfect. Maintenance and construction committee? Who's at that meeting? Did anybody?
Well, Charlie was there, Sue was there, and Murad was there.
Right.
Yes. The meeting is coming up this week.
This week?
It's tomorrow.
It's
is it
tomorrow,
not?
yeah.
Yes, so.
Okay.
Okay. The energy subcommittee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had our last meeting on October 13th. The next meeting is tomorrow. It's an open meeting, and it's really a hot topic. We're going to talk about solar and all the things applied to solar. And we are going to be the people who send our research up to the full M&C committee. So it's tomorrow, and if you have want to get some knowledge or have some opinions, please show up. Thank you.
And pray for sun.
The United Residential Advisory Committee.
Yes, we will meet on December 11th. That's this Thursday from 4 to 5 in the L1. So if anyone has anything that's fallen between the cracks, come and see some directors and maybe we can help some.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move on to GRF committee highlights. Director asking me, do you have, Murad, would you like to comment on GRF?
Yeah, Mr. President, yes. The last committee meeting was on October 27th when the committee recommended the increase of trust facilities fees to $10,000, which was approved subsequently by the GRF board. The next meeting of the GRF Finance Committee is on December 17th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Community Activities Committee?
It was a very, anyway.
Yes.
It met on October the 9th, and the next meeting is December the 11th, 2025. And that's the end of my report.
Okay. Landscape Committee from GRF?
Yes,
Go
the,
ahead.
the discussion was on our trees. What do we do with our wonderful trees? How many can we trim, that sort of thing? And then the other, we had a number of people come forward and again ask what can be done about the willow trees in the creek. And unfortunately, we've been told over and over again, nothing. It's a state and federal issue. But we did promise that the committee would send forward a letter asking if there's anything that they could do to help these people.
Okay. Thank you. Maintenance and Construction from GRF. Did we have a director at that meeting? Okay, no problem. Mobility and Vehicle Committee. Tony.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I think we skipped over
Oops.
space planning.
Oh, Space Planning, sorry, Tony. Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee.
I don't think they met.
I would have been Mickey if we don't have anything on that one.
Yeah, well, there you had a motion to move ahead with Building E,
Okay.
and they decided to postpone it until after the new GRF board is seated. So who knows when that will happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can go, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had our meeting, I have two notes here, one from the August meeting, the last one was October 8th. And people at home, especially United, should pay attention to this because we discussed the bus routes again. And now they've decided to, even though we from United voted to get number 5 and number 6 back on that serves our community, they decided to stay with the pilot program and using number 3 bus to satisfy routes 5 and 6. So we have another meeting coming up, and so tell us what you want. Our next meeting is on January 14th. It's a GRF committee, but if you want bus route 5 and 6 reinstated, say so. Thank you.
All right. Broadband Committee, that would be Sue. Did you have anything on the broadband? That's coming up, isn't it?
Yes, it is coming up, I think this week. I'm sorry, I don't have the date in front
It's
of
the
me.
10th.
The 10th, okay.
Okay. Security and Community Access Committee. That would be Mickey, who's not here.
Elsie was there.
Elsie, did you pick up anything on that one by any chance?
Are you sure I was there?
I see it, it's on page 14F, page 1 of 4.
They all kind of blur together.
Yeah, they do.
Says-
I know.
What page is that on?
Page 1 of 4, 14F.
1 of 14, I don't,
You want to just pass?
14F.
I don't know where that is. I saw 1 of 20, 13 of 20. You know what? The next meeting is going to be on, now I can't even find that.
The next meeting is February 25th, 2026.
Right there.
Yes, February 25th. I just don't want to hold up the,
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
They are fighting over whether or not to continue gate ambassadors or to do whatever.
Okay.
So it's,
I thought that was, oh, yeah, I remember now. I don't think anything positive, I mean,
yeah, right.
there was no
Nothing,
definitive decisions or anything, yeah.
Okay. Laguna Woods, oh, here we go. Traffic hearings. That would be Maggie.
Yes, I did hear traffic violations, and we did find some of them.
Okay, thank you. Disaster preparedness.
Yes, we will meet on January 27th at 9:30 in the boardroom. And hopefully more to report so far as progress.
All right, thank you. Disaster preparedness, oh, we just did that one. All right. Information Technology Advisory Committee.
Yes, Mr. President, this committee has not met since my report at our November board meeting. The next meeting is on December 26th.
All right, thank you. Yes.
I have on Director Liberatore, he said for the Mobility and Vehicles Committee was in January. This says February 4th.
It's February 4th.
Should I change the date?
No, it's February 4th.
February 4th.
Okay.
Okay.
Not the 25th of January. Okay, thank you.
All right. Future agenda items, all matters listed under the future agenda items are resolutions on 28-day public view for items in the Board of Directors meeting. No action will be taken by the board on these agenda items at this meeting. The board will take action on these items at a future board meeting. Okay. Director comments, we'll start with Kathy.
Okay.
We'll go around the board here real quick.
All right. My comments are basically to Paul and to Michaela to thank them for letting me understand the comments below. I actually thought that just meant changes that had been made through the years, so I did not read it properly. I will not make that mistake again. Thank you.
Okay. Elsie, would you like to say something?
Nope, good meeting.
Thank you. Sue?
Good meeting, and thank you.
Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the opportunity here. Our practice of allowing a co-op, real estate, that is in terms of manners, to go to auction at the county is counter to the fundamental principles of our charter and bylaws. If one studies our charter and bylaws and the occupation agreement, one cannot find any declarative statement that deals with the issue or eventuality of sheriff's sale at the county. If one reads the occupation agreement, it has lines after lines of conditions that someone has to meet to be considered for membership in the community. Furthermore, the membership is up for review every 3 years. The occupancy agreement chooses not to deal with this issue. In light of our charter, bylaws, and occupation agreement, we as fiduciaries are obligated to protect residents from the arbitrary and senseless opportunity that a system of law allows someone or some entity to acquire a share of stock in the corporation called United Mutual, and allows a person or entity to bypass our reason for existence, and that is the right and safe to create a peace and safeful environment for our seniors. As fiduciaries, we are duty bound to deal with this issue forthrightly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tony. That was a great topic we brought up. We definitely are going to have to get with our attorney on that and get his advice. Thank you. Maggie?
I agree that Tony's note should be read today in closed session while Jeff is on the line.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rod?
Mr. President, I want to reiterate something Tony said earlier. At the mobility meeting, GRF meeting, we heard many complaints from United residents who are vision impaired or in wheelchairs, and they were all against the combination of routes 5 and 6, and they were vehement about that. And despite all of that, we were the only two who voted against the delay, Tony and I, who are united, fighting for United folks, while third voted to delay it. So I just want to make sure that as many people show up at the February 4th meeting to make sure we defeat this combination. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with you. Georgiana?
I'm good, no complaints.
You're good, no complaints? You're good for right now?
And I guess you're going for the educated pirate look?
Yes, I am. I'm working on next year's costume. All right, thank you, everybody. Only comment, I really am really proud of the way this board is acting and getting along. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, we will have candidates that can fill the empty chairs. We're all going to work on that, and we'll talk that upstairs too. So for right now, I'm going to recess at this time. The meeting will recess for lunch and recover at the executive session, discuss matters on the 4935 California Code.
Can we reconvene at 1:10?
Yeah.
Sure, we were reading at 1:10. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
We are at recess.